Don't move the sound.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hello.
There's still folks filing in. We'll start here in just a minute. Walter, is my audio coming through okay?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear. I hear you.
Thank you.
Amir, you got those numbers for,
Say again.
you got numbers for Zoom?
I don't hear well, Rick. I'm sorry.
So you got those numbers for Zoom?
If you just go to the website, it should. Here, I got it in my packet. You got it? Here it is, right here. Oh, Tony.
What's up, Tony?
I think we're gonna call it to order. Are you ready? Let's call the meeting to order, please. Tom, Sam, can you take a roll call for us?
Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Moss.
Here.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Evans. Councilperson Hunt. Councilperson Nelson.
Present.
Councilperson Ratliff. Councilperson Campbell. Again, Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Hunt.
Having a forum, we'll continue. Let's have a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
Anthony Gray. Anthony Gray.
He'll be, Mr. Gray is attending by Zoom. Yep. Can I have a motion to approve the December 7 agenda, please?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Can you take a roll call, please?
Councilperson Moss.
Yes.
Councilperson Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilperson Nelson.
Yes.
Councilperson Ratliff.
Yes.
Councilperson Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it. Motion passed. There's a lot on the agenda and there's a lot of folks here. So we're going to have an opportunity for citizen comments at this time. But I do have to ask you to keep your comments brief and to the point. We've got a full agenda. So if anybody would like to address the council and the rest of the citizens, just come to the podium, clearly state your name and your address, please.
How hopeful I am with the agenda passing. And hopefully they'll go through the whole meeting and we'll get business attended to. And Normandy can move on with business. I'm so impressed with the agenda and how it's written. It's probably the best one I've seen in 2 years. The information on it is complete.
I'm sorry. State for the record, please,
Oh,
name and
Debbie
address.
Costa, 7216 Normandy Place. I don't, people can hear me? Yes. Anyway, so I'm just really grateful for that. And hopefully we could focus. I re-listened to last month's minutes, and I was just horrified with the time that was spent in arguing out of order, not accepting the judge's opinion in regards to the city manager. And I would just hope that this meeting will run more smoothly and will represent a regular meeting that business moves forward. And as far as the agenda, everything, I mean, I just hope that the bills will be addressed in a reasonable, thoughtful manner and passed. If there are things that will move Normandy forward, and all of them are, and that we could just keep moving in this positive direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. Good evening, fellow residents. I also just wanted to.
Please, Kim,
Oh,
just for the
sorry.
record, so,
Kimberly Moore, 7832 Skyview Drive.
thank you.
Again, thank you everybody for being here. We got a great turnout. I really appreciate it. Just wanted to also say I love the way that the minutes and the agenda are set out. I'm very hopeful that we can get things done. A lot of us are very, very rightfully so apprehensive about the trash contract coming to an end. We don't have the money to fix trucks. We don't have staff that's properly trained, so it's imperative that we continue on with our contractor, find someone because, you know, the year's almost up. Also really important that we address the salt and the salt trucks and getting a contract for that. I'm very hopeful, and I've been praying about this all month, that even though last meeting that young man's mother passed, that we can possibly bring that back up and be able to give him some resolve and some comfort, because it's the end of the year. I would hope everyone has more compassion, and we all have time, but we need to be lifted up by neighbors, by community, by our coworkers. So hopefully we can come together in this holiday giving season and do the right thing. So I'm glad to see the people that are here. I'm glad to see everyone here, and just hope that we can get some things done without bickering and backfighting and come together for the city of Normandy, not individual qualms and issues like that. Let's get city business done tonight, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Kevin Jackson, 7637 Bermuda Court. I just want to say that Mark is the mayor.
Yes.
And that's who is going to be the mayor. We're going to back Mark, and we're going to hope that our council persons will also support him. And if there's any issues that you have of concern the way he's doing his job, that's something that can be addressed. But the times that I have been here and listened to a lot of the things that's been going on, filibustering, it's just like, once again, I said before, it's like kind of sabotage Mark. I'm curious as if Mark was to just one day say, I'm done with this. What would happen? You have to think about that. Who would become the mayor? Let's think about that. A lot of people don't know if Mark decides one day to say, hey, I'm done with it. We're back to the same agenda that we had before we elected this gentleman. So we need to work with him. Because again, like I said before, April is coming, and I'm digging in. And I'm in Ward 2, and if it's a possibility that we need to get out and pass flyers and knock on some doors, contact me, Debbie. These people have my number. You know where I live, want to drop something in my mailbox? Do it. But we in this for the long haul, and we hope and pray that Mark hang in there and get the support that's needed from our council. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? All right,
Get some work done.
we'll move on. On the consent agenda are the October 5 CDBG hearing minutes, the October 5 City Council meeting minutes, and the October 13 City Council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Motion?
I have something to say about that.
Let's get the motion and then a second, then we'll have discussion. That would be the order that we do it in. Because if there's no second, then we won't even have a conversation about it. Is there a second to approve the consent agenda? We have a second. Ms. Ratliff?
The way these minutes were given, they're not correct. Also, the time that they were given has not been enough time to go over and correct these minutes.
Which page are you looking at?
What page?
Yeah.
We're looking at the agenda where he's considering.
Do you have a copy of it, man?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I'm saying all of them, for the 5th, for the 13th. Those minutes were not given in a timely manner. And that needs to be tabled until they're read and corrected.
Are there specific corrections you want to make?
All of them. There are so many corrections on that need to be done. I'm gonna go over it with with Samuel, Mr. Smith here.
Ms. Johnson, yeah, Samuel Johnson.
Jackson, rather.
Yeah.
I've talked to him about it, and we're gonna go over it to correct it. But there are so many corrections that need to be done on those minutes.
This is
Thank you.
Councilmember Maurice Hunt. I like to make a motion that
Motion's
we,
on the floor, Mr. Hunt.
okay, go ahead.
So what you can do is if there's one that you want to make a correction to, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, I would like to have B and C removed until Samuel can go over them and make the corrections.
And do you have specific corrections?
Yeah, all the council has specific corrections. They can email Samuel and let him make the corrections. And then you can resubmit those A and B and C at the next council meeting.
Okay, so I appreciate those comments. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor. Now, you can just, if there's two people, we can break these out if that's what you want to do. You have the right to take these off the consent agenda. We'll vote on them independently. And I've heard from two people now that that's what they'd like to do. So we'll
Corrected or tabled until the next.
well,
meeting.
I appreciate that. And what I'll do is remove all three of them from the consent agenda. And I'll take a motion to approve the October 5 CDBG fund hearing minutes. Item A, approval of October 5, 2021 CDBG funds hearing minutes. Do I have a motion to approve section A of the consent agenda?
I have one question. The CBG on A is there?
Okay, Mr. Hunt, we got a motion. Let's get a second, then we'll entertain comments. There's a second, and you have a comment, sir?
Yes, the CBG fund, the minutes are not here.
They should be provided in the council packet that you were given. They should
What
say
page?
Page 3.
page 3.
That's what they do.
Page 3 of the packet. Are you still there, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, I'm still
There
here.
isn't a,
Okay.
there isn't a page 3. It goes from, it talks about mayor. Okay, I see it. I see
Okay.
it. The first paragraph, Maurice.
That's the other page.
Okay, I see it.
All right. So there's a motion on the floor to approve the CDBG minutes, and there's a second. Any more comment? Can you take a roll call, please, Sam?
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No,
Councilmember Campbell.
The ayes have it. Motion passed.
Also,
Second.
on the agenda.
Excuse me, I just wanted to let you know Miss Martin is here now.
Thank you.
I apologize. What would you,
Yes,
Councilmember Martin? Yes.
Yes.
And Hunt. Maurice Hunt. Also, in old business, you
Well, we're not
have,
through old business yet. We're not through old business yet.
I know that, but you're asking for approval for the whole agenda.
No, we got
And-
approval for the agenda already, sir. We're
Okay,
just talking about the consent agenda now. We'll get to old business.
okay, all right. Then.
So, item B, approval of the October 5, 2021 council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Evans. Can I, any comment?
yes, I asked that the minutes be tabled.
We wrote, right. I thought you were gonna table it.
Right. And you're one voice and people may vote that way or not.
I think that she asked for those three and you granted her those three.
Right. I took them off the consent agenda. We're going to vote on them individually now.
Those are the ones she wants to table.
Right. And the council may agree or may not agree with tabling those. We're going to have a vote to approve them. And you'll have a vote to say no, and you'll have a vote to say no.
So table each one per.
We're going to vote on each one independently. Right now, the October 5, 2021
Right, but
minutes.
they need to be corrected.
Well, that's your opinion, and I appreciate that. If you have a specific correction to make, you can offer that now, and we can pass them as amended. Unless there's a specific correction, we'll go ahead and vote. And if,
There's several corrections.
well, and you may make them. You may make them. You can offer those suggestions now. And people can agree with you or not agree with you.
Okay, on these minutes, they're interpreted wrong. They're interpreted and not correctly given. And Mr. Jackson, Mr. Smith rather, I discussed that with him earlier about those minutes. And we agreed that I could correct those minutes and table them until the next meeting.
Well, if that was your understanding, that's incorrect. If the council agrees with you to table them by not passing them, that will be done. But you voiced your opinion and everybody's going to have a vote whether to agree with you or not agree with you.
Is Mr.
Not-
Gray on the line, please?
Mr. Gray, are you here?
Yes, Mayor, I am here.
I believe Councilwoman Ratliff has a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
The minutes are incorrect. They were interpreted by someone else what he thought, not correctly transcribed from the recording. They need to be corrected before they're entered into any type of permanent law or agenda.
Okay, so the parliamentarian way to do that
And
is
I
to,
asked that they be tabled.
well, tabling is done by motion. That's number one. But if if the minutes are not accurate, then they should not be passed if the inaccuracies are agreed by a majority of the board. So the Robert Rules of Order allow for you to correct minutes, but the correction you may have may not be shared by other members of the board, so they can reject it through their vote.
So I wanted
But-
to know what recording did he get it from? Because I requested a recording that was never given to me about October 5th minute.
That's called a point of order, and I believe you could pose that question to the mayor, and whoever took the minutes can answer that question before a vote is taken. I don't know the answer to that question, but it seems like a legitimate question to me.
Right.
And I will address that point of order. The city of Normandy has a Zoom account, and these recordings are in the cloud. And you can log in, get the recordings and
I
listen
asked
to them.
to be logged in and
Well-
given the information.
You will have, Tom is going to address that issue. They're all going to be uploaded to YouTube with a link, but he's in the process of making that happen. But everybody here was at the meetings, so, I mean, but at any rate, that does
What
address,
needs to be corrected, Mr. Smith, is let's see, on October the 5th. I'm gonna tell you in just a second.
This is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. So can Irma make a motion to table it, then
well,
someone can second it? And this is a question to Anthony Gray.
That is a proper motion.
Okay, so Irma, if you would like to make a motion,
well,
to
hold on,
table it.
hold on. We have a motion, we have a motion on the floor in a second to pass these. Okay, if that fails, it's automatically tabled till the next meeting. So it's really a redundant motion.
I tend to
So
agree. with
is
that.
there, I'm sorry, Mr. Gray?
I say I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, page 9.
Where it starts with Councilman Hunt stated he would like a motion to reduce the mayor's emergency spending limit to 5,000. It shouldn't be to, it should be from.
And that's not, oh, let's see. All right,
It's right under new business on page 9.
okay. Spending limit from 5,000 to 500,
Right,
that change.
it should be from.
All right, that's the recommended change, changing the word to the word from in the third to last paragraph. Is there any other corrections?
Yes, page 11,
Okay,
where it's the third from the bottom. You'll see Ed James, you'll see Talisa, and you'll see unknown citizen.
right.
Unknown citizen named and address not given. Every time anyone steps up to the mic, you ask for their name and you ask for their address.
What paragraph are you on?
Citizens comment. The
Citizens
third
comment.
from the bottom.
If you want.
Right below
citizens'
comment.
That is practice, but for whatever reason, it did not happen at that meeting. It was not given in the recording. And so,
It should
just
be.
like earlier, where
Yeah,
we almost.
Right.
For years it's not been
Yes,
done.
it
You know
is.
that.
Yes, it is.
No, it-
Okay, hold on. Two people are talking at once. Sam will explain. The fact is that she didn't give her name. She should have, and nobody disagrees with that.
Okay,
But she
everybody-
didn't, so that accurately reflects
No,
what
no,
happened.
It doesn't. It doesn't reflect what was said. It
What
wasn't-
change would you recommend?
It wasn't reflected what was said. She, whoever she is, we all, and you all keep calling the person a she. She then asked the council to fire Police Chief Hall because she questioned his ability and experience. She then accused of charming Councilman Ratliff. I don't even know what charming is. She accused Chief Hall of groping me.
What?
It doesn't say that.
let's vote on this so we
Okay.
can turn this
We
stuff
have-
down so we can
alright.
move forward, because we're not gonna approve this stuff.
We have a change on page 9, limit, to limit the spending limit from 5,000 to 500. we've got a motion on the floor in a second.
And it needs to be changed because that's what was said. And also, there's a voice recording to prove what was said. There's also witnesses
Right.
that witnessed that.
Ms. Ratliff, so what would you like that sentence to be?
That it should put in there exactly what the person said. It was not charming. I don't even know what charming is.
That was a word that you used.
No, it
Going
wasn't.
off my memory. You
I
also
don't
used-
use
You also
charming.
use
I-
different verbiage
The
as well.
person said groping me.
Okay, so you would like to amend charming to groping.
It was groping me. She saw the police chief groping me at some meeting.
And we're on what page and what paragraph, please?
Again, I'm gonna tell you the
Citizens
paragraph.
comment.
It is, look at the bottom of page 11.
All right, page 11. I was on page 9.
And it says to Tamika to unknown citizen.
And I can attest from my memory that the citizen's comment was not far off from what Ms. Ratliff was describing. She, if I remember correctly, and I don't know who this person is, he used the word charming, and he also used the word groping and, or something of that nature.
Okay, there's another change the word charming to the word groping on page 11.
What does that mean?
So what we're trying to
I'd
get,
like to know too what
we're
the
try-
person saw.
okay, we've got 2 recommended changes. Do we have a motion to make those recommended changes?
I'll make it.
Motion made by Campbell.
What does groping mean? Is that
Well,
what-
it doesn't matter what it means, if
I
that's
mean-
what she
I mean,
said.
in what context?
That's what I'd like to know. Why would the person stand up there and say something like that and don't even know?
Well, we can't
Well, we can't do
debate
that now.
what she said or why.
What I'll say again to make it clear. I know what the person said.
Okay.
There were witnesses that also heard the person.
Okay, and we've
There's a
made those
voice-
recommended
There's
changes.
a voice recording to go back and listen to know what the person said.
Okay, we've made a recommended change. There's a motion to make the changes that you've requested. Is there a second? We're voting to make these recommended changes so that we can pass these minutes.
And also at the top of the page 11, again, it says 2. And it says a sign.
Page 11, first line, change the word to the word from. We've got 3 recommended changes.
It should say from the.
Right, that looks like a typo. You're correct.
Listen, we need to not approve this. This is not written.
Okay, we've got 2 typos and changing the word charming to groping. There's a motion on the floor to make the recommended changes. Is there a second? Lacking a second, the motion fails. We have a motion on the floor to pass the minutes of the October 5 council meeting minutes. Can I have a roll call, please?
Which item?
Line item B.
And to be clear, this is a motion to approve the unamended minutes for
That
October
is
5.
correct. That is correct.
Councilmember Martin,
Abstain.
Councilmember Moss,
No,
Councilmember Smith,
Abstain.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No,
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
So this-
Noes have it. Motion fails. Moving on, approve.
So this line item will be tabled, right?
The item B will be
Yes.
on the next meeting. It's tabled.
And those corrections will be made.
If I get them in writing, that's what I was hoping for, an email to do this before, right now.
Do the right thing, get it in writing, get it right.
Item C, approval of the October 13, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Evans. Roll call. Any comment?
I'm motion. I mean, not motion. Just go ahead and go with a vote so we can get past this. So we're not gonna approve this.
Hearing no comments, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss. What was that?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Smith,
Same.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No,
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Having a tie, I'll break the vote with a yes on the approving the October 30 council meeting minutes. Motion carries. So item B will follow to the next regular meeting. Thank you. Next item, appointment of a code compliance officer. My intention was to appoint Lieutenant George to that position. And I understood his objection. There really is some qualifications in our ordinance that he wouldn't be qualified and some duties that he wouldn't be qualified to carry out. But that didn't stop us. We had a meeting and code compliance is still going to go to the police department. It's still going to go to Lieutenant George. He's going to do those duties, just not all the other duties that fall under code compliance officer as it's written in our ordinance. So that's going to start immediately. We're going to update if it hasn't been already, the website so that when people can go on the website, make a complaint, it goes to his email. There'll be a record of the complaint and it'll be addressed and it's gonna be done by a uniformed police officer. We'll be issuing those warnings and talking to residents and writing citations if that's required. And we're moving forward with that.
Mr. Beckman, this is Councilmember Hunt. In our ordinance, it states that a civilian will fill those duties and it is not to be a police officer. By ordinance, you're not following the way it's written in the ordinance.
Well,
It
we're
says
not
in the ordinance-
appointing him. I can address that. We're not going to appoint a police officer as code compliance officer. But there are ordinances in our books that they can write citations and warnings and take care of business without being appointed a code compliance officer. They can
So that's
enforce
all-
our ordinance.
So that's
They can
all
enforce-
officers, that's not just one police officer. That's all the police officers supposed to be doing that. So how are you going to appoint or
There's going
make?
to be one person in charge of keeping record keeping and keeping the process organized, rather than willy-nilly everybody out there writing citations and they're walking over each other. Maybe
That's
two
what the
different
housing clerk
let me
is.
finish, please. Two
Okay.
different shifts come by and give the same warning to the same person. There's going to be one person in charge of coordinating this code compliance enforcement.
That is also housing that's supposed to keep track of that. And we have a housing clerk that's supposed to keep track of that. So this person or this position that you're creating is totally out of ordinance. So,
I'm not creating a
you're
position.
going to
Mr.
create
Hunt.
lawsuits. You're going to create lawsuits from citizens being harassed by police officers of giving them tickets on stuff that they're not qualified to or has the expertise or the training on.
I don't think it takes a lot of training to give a citation on grass that's 12 inches long. It doesn't take that much. And if you've got garbage and old tires laying on the side of your house, it doesn't take a trained inspector to say, hey, move the tires and the vacant and the derelict car out of your backyard. That doesn't take a lot of training.
But when you go to court, the first thing that they're going to ask is the person who issued the ticket, are they certified and trained for that duty? And that's a lawsuit.
I'm not aware of any training that requires to recognize a
All-
derelict vehicle in a
Yeah, but
backyard.
all code enforcement has training.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Excuse me, Mayor, can I ask?
Yes.
Chief Paul, could you enlighten us on this, since your police officers are involved with this? Can you give us?
I was actually going to address it in my report, and I'll address it now. But what we're trying to do is the police department is trying to help out with working with the mayor. It's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
I want everybody to understand that we are focused more on compliance than enforcement. So we're gonna be more talking and warning than actual writing.
this comes to the point where somebody's out and not taking care of business, we do have to consider their neighbor. So that's gonna happen, but, we have myself and Lieutenant George came up with a plan. We have it in place, we're ready to enact it, and we want to get going forward, moving right now, where it's a little kind of slow before we get to, summertime when the grass starts growing and all the stuff's coming out. So, we're more than happy to do it. We know we don't have a position right now, have that position filled, that civilian position filled. We're more than happy to help out. We do not have that for everybody's knowledge. We do not, that used to be a position, but it was eradicated in 2012. So I don't have that position on my police department in my budget. And so it was moved to a civilian position. So eventually, if we're able to get that position filled by a civilian, then we'll move that over. But right now, it's something that needs to be addressed, and I think we can take care of that, check that out.
Right.
Mayor, is there
Thank
an
you.
ordinance? Is there an ordinance involved in?
Well, we've got an ordinance against derelict vehicles. We've got an ordinance against trash in the yard. We've got an ordinance against long grass, unlicensed vehicles. Those
But
are
he
the
didn't ask
focus
you that.
right now, just to clean up the town.
But
Those
he didn't
ordinances
ask you
are on
that.
the book, and
I have a question.
the police have every right to enforce those ordinances.
Yolanda.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Councilwoman LaWanda Smith. So Chief Hall, just a question. So do we have the manpower to be able to do this, add this extra duty to your team? This is not going to take anything away from them from being able to continue to monitor the streets and their regular duties. This is not going to affect that.
So we don't have manpower. We don't have the manpower. No, but the guys are all willing to step up. So
Okay.
I'm going to help out as well. So we can tackle it if it gets. I mean, I don't think it's overwhelming, but it's just something that needs to be addressed. And I think once we get going and start getting some compliance, I think like dominoes will fall, and everybody else will start understanding that we need to keep our property up, for ourselves and our neighbors in the city of Normandy. So then I will hit it hard real quick. And it'll be some extra work for us, but I think after a while it'll pay off, and then it'll be able to die down and we'll be able to take care of it.
This is Council Member Maurice Hunt. I think that we should table this to the next meeting to give the council a chance to check our ordinance and to see, do the mayor or the city administrator has the power to appoint this position. And I would like to make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Well, with all due respect, there's nothing to table. I'm not making it. I'm not making an appointment. There's no appointment being made. I'm putting an emphasis on enforcing our city code.
Okay.
And that's all that it amounts to. We're putting an emphasis on code compliance.
So this a typo?
What's that?
So this a typo on says appointment of a code.
Well, and that's what I explained at the very front end, that we changed that. There is not going to be an appointment. I said that right at the onset, that there was a change. We had a meeting as to how to manage this, and there's not going to be an appointment. We're just moving the enforcement, the prioritizing enforcement, and that's all there is to it. And Lieutenant George is going to spearhead organizing this effort.
Now, didn't you say that Lieutenant George didn't want to do it?
He didn't want the appointment because of the other requirements as they're written in our code book and the other duties that are written in our code book. And I appreciated that really wouldn't have been appropriate for him. So I said, that's fine. I think you're right. Maybe that's not the best way to approach this. We sat down, we had a meeting, and we came up with a plan on how to manage this. When this agenda was written, it was written as an appointment. It's changed this week with a couple of meetings.
So
Yes.
I'd like to ask you, now we do have codes for code violations, because I spoke to Chief, even you, about certain residents who called me for the last 6 to 7 months.
Yep.
About derelict cars and situations. Of course,
Right.
you know, because you campaign and you saw a lot out there. So I'd like to see this happen, but there is some kind of code where we can look at what we can do and what we can't do, because we do have a Chief, you understand what I'm saying about this one residence? That it's been a year. We haven't been able to get anything done.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Report of officers. I've got a couple things here. There's going to be a public hearing on December 15th, and that'll be the second to final phase of these derelict properties, one on Brand, one on Holborn. It requires a public hearing so that anyone that has any potential interest in those properties can object. I doubt that that's going to happen at either one of these hearings. Following that, we'll put out bid and we're going to get these properties torn down.
Is the one on Olean?
Olean is already ours, and we're still looking at if there's even an issue that we need to have a public hearing.
Okay.
We may not need to have a public hearing on Olean.
Okay.
So it's all falling in place. And that hearing's at on the 15th of December, 1 o'clock. If anybody feels like attending, I think it's going to be really boring because I'm not sure anybody's going to show up to object to having those buildings torn down.
And that'll be with the CDBG fund.
CDBG funds, correct. Public Works update. The equipment situation in Public Works is dire. We've had in this month, I just went back and looked at the bills for one truck. That's our the GMC dump truck, the 5-ton, $5,200 in repairs and towing bills in 1 month. We had to rent a truck just to tow the leaf vac. Shop needs a new roof. We need a new truck. And I just want to plant this seed. I'm going to come to the January meeting and ask the council to access additional cell tower funds to rebuild our public works. I just think we're putting a salt spreader on a 2.5-ton pickup truck, and I can't even load the salt spreader to its capacity or it'll overload the truck. That's what we're going to do this winter to get by. It will manage it, but it's limping along. So if we can get a new truck, I'm looking, if anybody has any opinions, that Ford F600 looks like all we'll need. It looks like that's the truck I'm looking at, with a dump bed, and we have to have a roof. We got a roof on Public Works that leaks. We have no money budgeted to fix that roof. I know the council, and I do too. I want to fix this property across the street, and that's what those cell tower funds are in reserve for. But this property across the street is going to get remodeled when we get a developer to buy this building and develop this property. That's when that's going to happen. It's just not reasonable to believe that we're going to ever have the money to fix that up. I believe we're looking at probably $1.5 million project. So with that said, I just want to plant that seed. That's going to be a January issue. We need a truck. We need a roof. We need to get these guys some tools to work with, and we don't have the money to do it. Next on discussion of future sale of city property. I met with Councilwoman Smith, with the owner of the apartment owner at 5409. And he expressed interest in buying from the city a vacant lot that we have right next to his property. The immediate neighbor at 5385 also expressed interest in buying this vacant lot.
And I'm that neighbor as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. What I'd like to do, if the council has no objection, I'm thinking the best way to do this is advertise the property for sale and accept sealed bids. It avoids the cost of an appraisal, commissions. We'll pass out flyers to immediate neighbors, make sure everybody that has any interest in that property has an opportunity to bid on it. We'll accept sealed bids, open them, and the highest bid buys the property. And I want to hear from the council if there's any objection.
Do we have an address for that property?
We do. It's 5401 Bermuda Road. It's vacant. There's nothing on it.
It's 54.
5401
It's
Bermuda Road.
54. It's 5409 Bermuda Road.
Oh, I thought that was the apartment building.
No, is that?
I thought the apartment was 09. I'll clarify that. I was pretty certain 5401 was the vacant lot, but we'll clarify. We'll clarify that. but I want to hear from the council and see if there's any objection to moving forward with moving one of these off our inventory. It's just one that we're not gonna have to pay taxes, I mean, have to mow come springtime.
I have a
Any
question.
comment?
I have a question. My name is, good evening, council, and good evening, everybody of the city of Normandy.
Public comments
Really
out.
brief, sir, because you're
Okay,
out
that's
of order
fine.
making comments at
So
this
I
time.
have a question. Instead of trying to bid it out, since it's, me and the other apartment owner, showed interest and there has been interest in a lot. Could me and him talk and maybe we can just do a bid?
Well, here's the problem. Anytime that I dissolve a city asset, I have to let anybody who might have any interest in it have an opportunity to buy that city asset. I can't make a deal with any two people or one person. It has to be an open process, a fair process, and it's either going to be list it and take the highest bid, but I think sealed bid is the most practical way to do it.
Okay.
And that doesn't prevent you guys have any conversation you want to have, but the sealed bid process would still be fair if everybody had an opportunity to participate in it.
And I have a question. What,
I'll get it. Go
what is
ahead.
this lot gonna be used for?
Well, the apartment owner wants it for parking, and the gentleman that lives next door, I believe he expressed an interest in a garage on that property. Is that correct, Sam?
No, I'm the gentleman by what they
want
wanted to use the
garage,
land
but
for,
the-
just that they were interested.
He's on the phone. Let's allow him to talk. He's on.
Well, yeah, but it's not the time for public comment, really. We've got people interested in
Well,
buying
I
it.
mean, if we're talking about it and he's on.
Well, we
here,
can't
do
assume
we-
he's gonna buy it, though. That's, that's
You
fine.
can
He wants
assume
to-
that I'm gonna buy it.
What's your interest, sir?
Well, my interest is just have the lot to attach to the house because, it's more of my property than it is the apartments. So that's
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah, just have a bigger yard then? Okay,
For the most part.
This is
Um,
Council Member Maurice Hunt.
hold on, Campbell, Councilman Campbell had a question about the cost of an appraisal. Anywhere from $350 to $500.
Is it worth to get the appraisal and just?
No.
Well, regardless, we're gonna, the value of the property will be established by what people are willing to pay for it. And if we advertise it and let anybody that wants to bid on it will bid on it, that will establish the value of the property.
May I ask a question?
Hold on, Mr. Hunt had a question.
Okay, so if the bid process without the appraisal, without a real estate agent, if someone bids at bids at $1, and that is the bid, or $5 or $10, they will win that bid for whatever that the highest bid is for. And if that appraisal property, if that property is worth $25,000 or $30,000, we just gave that property away for $1, $5, $10, or whatever that somebody sealed bid and won that property. This is not the way that we should be getting rid of vacant properties with a sealed bid. We should get a appraisal, see how much the property's value for, and then put it on the market for that value. And if you have an appraiser, if that property is valued for 25, those two people can make offers to the real estate person and may get more than just what is appraised for.
Anybody else? I don't care how we sell it. I'm just concerned
I have a
we're gonna end
question.
up spending money on appraisal we may never recover. You're paying you're also paying, you put it on
I
the
do
market
have a
like that.
question, Mayor.
All right, if you put it on the market, you're also gonna pay a commission. I'm just not sure how much this vacant property is worth. I don't know.
Mayor,
Councilman,
I think, Leila.
I have a
yes,
question.
go ahead.
What is the harm with letting an already established resident take care of a property that's adjacent to his own property? And I don't know who the appraisal comes from, if it's the city or the purchaser, but what is the harm in having an already established resident that's already invested in our community, invest more into the community?
I would like very much to see that.
Versus an outside in versus some
But-
outside person that may buy the property, rent it out. You don't know what you're getting when you go outside, if some outside comes in, which is not necessarily a problem, but you already know what you're getting when you have a person that's already invested in the community.
I just not
And
sure. I
just to be
do-
clear, it is a lot, so there's no house
Yes,
on
no
it.
house
It
on
is,
it.
it's a
Correct.
lot.
Right, there's nothing on it.
And can I-
And so with the first person, he owns the apartment complex right there, and the space as far as parking. He wants to be able to offer more parking spots, more handicapped parking spots for his tenants that are in the apartment building, because the space that is currently there is small. And then this gentleman wants to extend and create a garage on the portion, I'm assuming that is a part of his property, so.
Also,
Well-
this is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. The city of Normandy purchased or paid the back taxes and paid for legal fees to acquire that property. It's not feasible to just go ahead and let the property go for a small amount of money. And do you know exactly what we spent on the property to obtain the property?
I do not.
That probably doesn't-
I think that we definitely need to go with an appraisal.
Mayor, may I add something? I had some experience with this in Silex, Missouri, where the council was in the same situation. The council reserves the right to turn down the top bid if it's not beneficial to the city,
Right.
which would
Yeah,
address
that-
Councilman Hunt's concern.
That would actually, that's a grand idea. Officer Moore just suggested that we reserve the right to refuse any offer. And
Can the council also recommend that we get an appraisal by a vote before we put it on the market?
if the council wants to move with an appraisal, we don't need a vote. I'm happy to do that. I just want to hear from everybody. I don't care how we sell it.
Mayor,
Yeah.
it's your pleasure. It's Raina from Beyond Housing is here, and she might have some expertise on this issue if you want to invite her to speak.
Sure, go ahead.
This isn't uncommon throughout the footprint. There are plenty of models to use to get rid of vacant property. That would not open up to anybody. It should be adjacent properties only. You should clarify what they can do on those properties. And if you have it on your roll, you invested more than it costs for an appraisal at this point. At this point, it's getting it off of your roll because you're going to continue to invest compound interest on the time, effort, money, maintenance over all the years will probably supersede the appraisal value. So at this point, it's get out of the property. But for the Sylvia purposes, to his point, you can't turn around and bid if they don't have a suitable plan that's going to benefit the city. It's going to be more of a detriment. So adjacent owners only with a clear guide as to what that vacant property can be used for. And you can go that route. Northwoods, City of St. Louis, Beyond How we all have models and they do this all the time. So you don't have to go reinvent the wheel either.
Thank you.
I did not understand anything that she just said. There was an echo.
Very difficult to hear you. Is that?
I did not hear anything she just said. There was an echo. So can you translate for me?
Yeah. I'll try to paraphrase. It's in our interest to get rid of the property, get out of it, because it's every year it costs us more money. And that we do have the right to refuse any bid. And the suggestion was made to offer it only to adjacent property owners. That's a model that other cities have used. With what we just, I don't want to beat this to death. I'll come up with a plan for this property for the next January meeting and have some conversations, and you can, what I'm hearing is that you'd like to see an appraisal on it. I think that won't necessarily establish value. What's going to establish value is what somebody's willing to pay for it. It'd be very difficult to appraise a vacant property.
I would like to see a plan if we're gonna open it up to
Yeah.
the appraisal, but I would like.
Okay.
Yeah, and also what can be done with that property. That's what.
Right.
what can be
And any
done.
suggestions, just please email me on what you'd like to see. Yeah,
Mr. Gray on there, could you give his opinion on this?
if you'd like it, Mr. Gray, do you have anything that you'd like to
I
add?
think what's been stated so far has been pretty wholesome. It covers just about everything. I would just simply add, just for the council's consideration, before you put it out for bid, the criteria that was just discussed, you put that in your RFP and everybody knows before they put a bid on what the qualifications would be. And the only other thing that it was something that was missing. Oh, I know what it was. You can also start a property at the bidding price you want it to be. So if you got an appraisal and it appraised at $3,000, you can open the bidding up by setting the minimum.
Good.
Just so you
Another
know.
good
Okay?
idea.
That's all I
So
want.
we can set a minimum and we can refuse any bid. So we've got protections in place.
Mayor, we'll have to talk about the refusal part because once you state publicly that you will accept the lowest bid, then there's no refusal after that.
Okay.
So we got to be very careful in what we say. Okay.
Very good.
I'd like to
All
add
right.
something. Our last realtor that we had, Jarnell,
Yes.
yeah, he was pretty much on top of these same things that we're doing now. So we're kind of going backwards now. I don't know if we can possibly get in touch with him and maybe,
I have no interest in listing with him. He's a residential agent in Lake St. Louis.
okay.
I'm not interested. We've got local realtors, you know, Reed Realtor. I don't even know Reed. I don't know, never met the guy, but there's a realtor right at the wedge that in our town that it's been well established. So I would open it up to anybody that wants to.
Reed is a female, not a male.
Well, see, okay. Anyway, yeah, I'd rather get a local, but let's move on. Let's move on. Council members, any report?
This is Councilmember Maurice Hunt.
Go ahead.
Okay, in the 3rd ward across the street, you have Austin Lane. And it has came to my attention that Austin Lane gas and utilities been shut down, and I'm thinking maybe possibly winterized. And that was never brought in front of the council. I'm assuming that no one on the council probably didn't even know that. And we was using that building for meetings with citizens. If we were to have meetings where there was 10 or 25 more citizens, we could use that building. Also, the police was using that building. We also was using that building for kids to play chess. And that is a historic building that has a lot of antique wood in it. And by you not having any heat, you're causing a lot of damage to the pews and the antique wood that's in that building. Also, that building sits on a creek, an underground creek that has sump pumps that keeps the water from going into the foundation, into the building. And if that stuff freezes, you're gonna cause foundation leaks. And basically, by not having any.
Okay, I can address that. I can address that. Yeah, the gas is on Celica Heating and Cooling is going to be in there tomorrow to fire up the boiler. We got bids of $7,500 to $8,500 to winterize it. I chose not to do that. It was just too expensive. And as far as using that building, I'm just not going to do that anymore. We've got just 2 months, August and September, electric bills because we had a chess tournament there and then a couple of meetings, $4,000 in electric bills for 2 months. We're going to mothball that building. We cannot afford to use that building for anything. We're just going to keep the heat at a minimum, turn off the utilities that we don't need, and wait for us to remodel it for City Hall.
But that's the decision that the council should be making, because that is a building that is owned by the citizens of Normandy. That's not something that the mayor or the city administrator makes without bringing to the council attention. You can't shut down
to
a building
or turn on the heat. No,
shut down a building, and not going to utilize it. That's not for the mayor to make that
Well,
decision. That's
and
up
I'll
to
also
council.
tell you, there's nothing in the budget to spend on utility bills on that property. We did
I
not.
understand that,
utility
but
bills.
it's for the council to
If
decide.
we were able to use it for what it was purchased for, then we could recomp the money that you're complaining that is being spent out. The building was supposed
Okay,
to help.
let's keep this to information on
Come on,
reports.
come on.
This is enough. We can put this on another agenda item or under new business.
Okay, so
This
can
is
you
not-
make note of that to add it?
It's not a debate we're gonna have during council members.
Okay, so I
reports
can
from
put it
their-
on, I can
Yeah.
put on new business for today. All right, thank you.
All right, any other?
I have
Any
a
other
question.
reports from the wards?
Mine is just a general question.
Hold on.
Some people in my ward wanted to know about the salt and snow removal.
Right, we've got two trucks, 2 plows. We've got the new salt spreader that was bought last year is gonna go on one of those F-250s with limited capacity, but we're a small town. We'll get by. But those are the only 2 trucks that are dependable. And like I say, we're in desperate need for another new truck. We'll look it through this winter.
All right, Mayor Beckman, this is Maurice Hunt again. Would you reach out to the city of Northwoods? Northwoods has an extra salt truck that they, in the beginning, wanted to lease or rent or even sell it to the city of Normandy, and we can use it at any time that we need to salt our streets, because that's what we did last year. Could you please?
Yeah, I will do that. And they reached out to me today to ask if they could borrow our tractor just to load their salt truck. And I meant to bring that up to the council without objection, if we can cooperate with them. And they helped us out last year with snowplow. So if they need our tractor to load their salt truck, if nobody objects, I'm going to let them do that.
Okay, could you ask them
Yeah,
would they
I
sell
will.
their salt truck?
I will.
Okay.
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions, Lula Martin.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, one is when the utility companies come through and cut down like poles and trees, are they responsible for hauling it or can they just leave it in residence yards?
I've never known them. Obviously, you're going to tell us they did. I've not known them to do
Yes,
that
they
before.
did.
They
It's
are.
in a residence
Yeah.
yard, yeah. So
Yeah.
I need to know whose responsibility is it? Do they just leave it in a residence yard? Or are they supposed to come back and pick it up?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to your question.
They should come back.
Yeah, I would
Thank
think.
you. That's
if
what
they're
I
gonna-
thought. Thank
yeah.
you. Second, I have 2 more questions. One, I've had a couple of residents ask me about bulk pickup and also leaf vac. So what are the situations with those?
The leaf vac ran all last week and it's running right now. We finally got I returned the rental truck, but we've got the dump truck back. And that's what they're doing all week is leaf vac. They're keeping up with it pretty good.
Is it the entire city or just certain areas at a time?
We got the whole city last week and they're gonna get the whole city again this week.
Okay, and what about, how are we gonna start handling bulk pickup going forward?
Hopefully we'll get this contract passed tonight and we're gonna have it every week. We'll have both once a week,
Okay.
yeah. Well, it's limited to 1 item, 100 pounds. It's not gonna be you pile a pile of trash in your front yard like we've done in the past because, well, we'll get to that when we get to that item on the agenda. But yeah, it'll be once a week.
Okay, because I'm wondering, as far as bulk pickup is concerned, what about appliances? Like they had to have special permits when the city was doing it. Are they gonna address appliances versus furniture versus just
Yes,
big? It
yes.
just depends on
Appliances
what
you
it is.
can't put in the landfill. It's a special pickup. And the gentleman from Waste Management is here to answer any questions you have about that contract when we get to that agenda
Okay.
item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, limb chipper. Are we gonna run the limb chipper this year or?
Yeah, it's been running.
Limb chipper is running.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've had it out. I'm not aware of anything that hasn't been picked up. Now, I will say I won't let them run that big stuff through that limb chipper anymore. It eats clutches. There's some big 8-inch stuff that was being run through that and it's just hard on the equipment. So if people have anything bigger than 6 inches, they're gonna have to make arrangements with a tree service or a handyman or something to have that type of stuff hauled away. the limb chipper is for yard cleanup, limbs, that type of thing. But there's been people taking advantage of that too. They'll cut down an entire tree and then it's on the city of Normandy to somehow haul it away. And we can't, the Department of Natural Resources came in and wrote us a letter of warning about all the dumping that we're doing down at Public Works. And by the way, we've almost got that cleaned up too. We've got 400 yards of 400 cubic yards of waste has been removed from Public Works. We're very nearly done cleaning up that illegal dump that was down there. So anybody else? All right.
I thought Tony Evans wanted to say something.
Did you, Tony? Did you?
Well, I want to speak on the lamb chipper.
Yeah, it was addressed. Thank you. Chief Hall.
And I'll say the rest of the waste management.
Good evening, everyone. Council members, the City of Normandy Police Department, we handled in the month of November, about 451 calls.
We can't hear it.
Sir?
I'm sorry.
No, and if you want to borrow this, you may. So in the month of November, the Normandy Police Department responded to 451 calls for service. We prepared 53 reports, made 9 arrests, and wrote 56 summonses / citations. We've had 2 serious incidents, unlawful use of a weapon. November 8th, the detectives are still handling that. There was an incident that started outside the city of Normandy, and the gentleman was followed home and a shot was fired. No one was injured. We're investigating that. We had a assault first armed criminal action on Natural Bridge. The detective bureau is, we're investigating that with a different, and this gentleman that we picked up, the suspect was arrested and he was charged with the burglary second and the felony stealing. We didn't get the armed criminal action issue. We also had another burglary, and that subject, the detectives made another good arrest, and they arrested that subject and got him to sign a confession to that burglary. So we cleared those 2. The citations, we've been trying to hit Bermuda. We're steady on Natural Bridge. I haven't had any reported accidents at the circle, although every time you go by there, it looks like there's more damage. It's that I don't know, that's a magnet. And so we haven't had any major issues. Actually, I haven't heard anything or seen anything in Passover on the weekend at our wonderful bar, at the Courtyard Bar and Grill. So that is a positive thing. We haven't, I think that's kind of turning around lately. But well, we're still keeping an eye on it. And that's it. Any questions? Any questions from the council?
Was there a shooting on the Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, there was, that was down at Natural Bridge and Lucas and Hunt. And so there was a vehicle going eastbound on Natural Bridge. And then the other vehicle was coming westbound on Natural Bridge and just fired shots at the car and hit a young lady in the face. She's actually alive. Like the glass stopped the bullet. She swallowed part of a fragment of the bullet, but the other one just hit her nose, broke her nose. And we
Both cars are traveling
opposite ways, yes, ma'am. And what we're doing, we're working with Metro Public Safety. This past weekend, they actually had 2 buses shot at. We had a bus driver got shot in the head right down there on Natural Bridge, just east of Lucas and Hunt. My detectives are in concert with them, and we're trying to figure it. So now there's these people are going around and just shooting into people's cars. And they shot 2 buses. They shot 2 bus drivers this past weekend within an hour of each other. One was in Hazelwood, and one was down here, just east of Lucas and Hunt. I think they got that suspect. I think they did too. And we had, well, there was a couple of more in the city, but you know, that happens in the city. So be aware, we don't know right now in talking with the people, we don't know if this is a new gang initiation kind of situation. So just be cognizant. Road rage, there was nothing that indicated that the young lady in the car did anything. But, you know, be cognizant when you're out there and somebody cuts you off. Don't flip them off, because these idiots out here, they have no compulsion not to shoot at you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So with these things, solving these crimes in my offices, these guys, we are short on the police department. If you guys don't know, we actually had 4 officers take other positions or resign in November by itself. And it's just hard out there. If you go to every police department, they're trying to either retain or unretain police officers. And we're going to discuss it a little bit later, but for the council members, if you please consider what we have on the table, we are in dire straits. We really need to make some adjustments to be able to retain the officers that we have. We have great officers. These guys work hard. They don't ask for a whole lot. They go out and they produce. These guys don't even complain. And they're these guys now, the last month and a half, are not even able to take days off. And you still see them come to work, smile on their face. Hopefully all the citizens have had great interactions with them. I know we see them all the time interacting, and they're pleasant when they come into work. But the couple of the officers that we lost went because they need to support their families. And we are in the lower tier of being able to pay these guys. And Mr. Johnson and Mayor came up with some things that we're going to present to you, and we think we have a solve, and that will be able to help me retain these wonderful officers that we have, and also attract some new ones that were some good quality officers that we can present to the city of New York.
Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on. Mr. Gray, is it still the case you have no report for us?
That is the case, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Tom Moore, an IT update, please.
Good evening, council.
Can you borrow this so everybody that's on Zoom can also hear?
Turn Zoom.
There you go.
Good evening, council. Good evening, everyone. This time last
Like
year.
it's more moving, less confrontation.
Somebody on Zoom needs to turn off their mic, please. Thank you.
This time last year, in just labor alone, we spent $3,813.96. And this time last year is including October and November. At this point, even with the upgrades and items that we've purchased thus far, we're in about the $1,700-$1,700 range. So we've cut things in half and found a better direction, and bringing the items that we were contracting out for, bringing those internally has been a huge turnaround. We've identified some savings, some good savings. One of them is basically replacing the phone system by eliminating an expensive service that we had that was driving the old phone system. That ended up paying for a new phone system that will keep the city up and running, that's not dependent on equipment. So it'll keep everything going. If something happens to this building, everybody can grab their phone and go and plug in someplace else. And you as a community you're not gonna miss a beat. Okay. And it's very robust, and there's lots of things that we can do with it. Our website, we're going to be looking at a different website. So you're going to see a change on the website. That saved us about $9,000 to change that. So some of that money we'll reinvest into equipment, into some of the police cars and the computers, and into the city, and some changes. We're going to be getting rid of some servers and some stuff that's it's not dying, but it's a better move to go to the cloud. So we're in the process of doing all those things, making positive changes. The big thing was turning around the spending. That's at the top of the list that I was tasked to do. So I think we're doing pretty good with that so far. So
thank you.
Any
questions from the council?
Go ahead.
I know the council's real anxious for these recordings from these meetings to be uploaded somehow, some way.
Yes,
What
yes.
direction are we going?
So here's the issue that we had is that I was working on the website that we have now and getting those uploaded to the site. The problem with storing those on the site, anything that's video intensive or sound intensive takes up a lot of space, which you end up having to pay for. So I'm still going to be able to use the site to do it, but what we're going to do is we're going to post those videos to YouTube, to a city YouTube account. And then what I'll do is I'll link them from the website, and then you just click on the link and it'll bring up the council meeting that you're looking to listen to.
Good, thank you.
Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
possible to, because I know how much we are of the paper around here, to like store like the files that we have and everything in some kind of.
That's actually part of the same project that I was talking to about moving to the cloud. I just got us certified with Microsoft for being able to use the government agency version of Microsoft. So I got that certification done. The first step is to move everybody's emails out and get all that information up. And then the second step will be able to move the server or the files. One of the things that we've talked about with the police department is eliminating those and going to kind of an automated process where everything's electric. It's all like an electronic bag file, is what I call it anyway. So that bag file contains all the witness statements, all, everything else that doesn't, the copies of the things that go into evidence, so on and so forth. So yeah, that will go into a process. And then the chief was actually going to get with the St. Louis County prosecutor. I know we can do it with local processors, but he was going to work with Wesley Bell to automate the process to keep officers from having to go back and forth and go out of venue to go sit at the prosecutor's office for 2 hours or to walk a warrant or anything else like that.
Good.
So, that's the long answer to the short answer, which is
Yes.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
This is
I have a
Councilmember
question.
Mar-
Excuse me,
Okay.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead. Go ahead.
I have an IT question.
When I first came on the council way back when, we had a computer. And it was supposed to be set up where we use that computer for City of Normandy, where every councilman had one. You can come in, plug it up and see all of your information on your computer. Tablets and whatnot are so cheap now. Can councilmen have that system set up now by you or what?
So, I mean, there's two routes to go with that. If you have your personal tablet, yes, I
No,
can set
not
up there.
personal tablet.
Okay.
The City of Normandy should own it, where we're getting only City of Normandy information.
That's at the pleasure of the council. I mean, if you're looking at iPads, you're talking about,
Yes.
$6,000-7,000 worth of iPads.
Where minutes and whatnot can be seen whenever we want to, and the voice recording Zoom can be there where we could pull it up.
All that will be accessed. My suggestion would be to limit the cost for probably $200-300 tablet. It would be sufficient for what you guys are asking for. There's no reason to spend the money on iPads, with all due respect. I mean, they're nice, they're cool, and they do all kinds of neat stuff, and that's great. If we were in
I'm just talking
Chesterfield,
about a regular tablet.
Yeah.
That for a City of Normandy, where we don't have to, we shouldn't be using our computers, our internet or whatever. If we're a councilman, that should be set up by the City of Normandy.
if you could clarify, please, ma'am, when talking about using your internet at home, or
Yes, using it for City of Normandy information.
okay.
A point of order, I'm calling for point of order.
So if we add internet to the tablets, that's $35 to $40 per tablet. In order to do that,
Well, I mean, you can get things from the library or whatever to come in on the internet. What I'm talking about is information for City of Normandy only, where we're not using our computer or our tablet at home or anywhere else. That is just for City of Normandy, where I don't have to go and use my tablet, my phone or whatever.
I can provide the tablet. It would be
Yeah, if that's, let's put that on the agenda, and it's gonna have to be a budget item, a budget amendment. If you want that, it's the council's pleasure to do that, then we'll put it on the agenda and have a discussion about it.
I have a question, Ms. Irma, are you talking about having something that's set up there at City Hall that we just come to to use? Or are you talking about individual?
What you could use at City Hall now, no
Yeah,
different.
okay.
County, St. Louis County, when they come, they have all of their, the computers that they use and can bring up their information. No one is
Okay.
scrambling to use their own phone, their own whatever.
Yeah, that'll be a discussion that we can put on an agenda item and have a conversation about. It will require a budget amendment to do that. We don't have anything. We don't have the money to do it. So we'll have to have that conversation about where that money's gonna come from. And it may be ARPA funds again. That's a possibility.
Chief.
Oh, I just want to know why you're so good at what you do.
He is.
I have
He's
a
saving us a
question.
lot of money, folks.
Ms. Martin has a
I have
question.
a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, I was wondering, what is the retention schedule for the Outlook inbox as far as emails, incoming, outgoing, things like that? What is the retention schedule on that?
As long as we want to keep them.
What is that? Because for one, I can't see emails past 30 days. So my emails just tend to all of a sudden disappear.
So one of the issues that the mayor and I are dealing with our former provider Regis is that the policy wasn't set up properly. So what happens is that if you don't add a specific policy that says to retain emails, okay, then Microsoft Exchange Server by default will kick out anything after 30 days. We're trying to, we have requested that Regis provide a third-party expert, in Exchange. I'm an administrator. I know my way around and can make it do what I want it to do. But we're asking that they provided their cost, an exchange or an exchange expert, for lack of a better term. We won't have those retention problems going forward. You'll be able to go back as far as you want.
When would that happen? Because as of right now, if I want to research something, I don't have the proper backing, and that's not fair to me. Or if I need to research something, if a resident has a question, then I don't have the proper documentation. And by us being a little short-staffed, I can't quickly get information from City Hall.
You can get those to me. You can do help desk at cityofnormandy.gov and submit a ticket to me. Tell me what you're looking for and what you need. I do work a full-time job during the day, but I usually can stop and get involved in something relatively quickly. I've tried to be very respondent to the police department in the city whenever I can. But if you get that request to me, I'll do the due diligence and see what I can find. We also had a problem with the backups too. We didn't have a backup since March, and which I covered in a previous council meeting. So that's why we're making this move to a more stable solution, because at that point, it doesn't require a person on your staff or to contract to do the heavy lifting. At that point, it just becomes part of your monthly service. Microsoft does all the heavy lifting. They have all the engineers, they have all the people to maintain the servers, keep them up, keep them running. They have the equipment. We don't have to do capital expenditures where we have to spend $10,000, to upgrade servers, every 5 to 6 years, if that makes sense. So
No, I totally understand. So as far as when we get all of these pieces in place, so since we didn't have a backup, so anything that I could research, because what sometimes I do is research by a subject or a title or a word, and I tend to be able to have the ability to pull up anything I need to search for in my email, with us not having the backup. So if I need something, I'm out of luck, basically.
yeah, unfortunately.
That's not good. Yeah, that's not good.
And I discovered it, and we've addressed it. And we are actually asking Regis to provide a refund for the managed services portion that we were paying from March all the way up, which is to the tune of somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000. We're asking for funds back.
Okay, so what is the proposed temporary fix? Because if we can't maintain or retain any emails and we need them, say, for the next meeting, we don't have the documentation. Everyone doesn't always have the ability to print readily on site or whatever. I mean, it's almost like.
At this point, I've rewritten the policy, so anything.
So going forward.
Going forward, we're good. I'm
we
working
saying-
on,
Mhm.
I'm working on the backup solution. But going forward right now, I've changed the policy. So everything should be capturing beyond 30 days now.
Okay, so going forward, because I looked today and everything from today's date back is gone. So what date are you anticipating that this was
Today's
supposed to
date
start?
back?
Today? Yeah, I don't have anything in my email beyond 30 days from today or prior to today.
Shoot me an email. Let me look at your account and give
Okay.
me the specifics of what you're looking for. Let me dig into that because you should have everything. If you haven't deleted it, if it never went to the delete box and then got deleted out of your delete box, that's when it gets subject to that 30 days. Is once you delete it out of your delete box, it'll only stay there for 30 days that's the way it was working.
Okay.
So whenever you empty your mailbox.
This specific issue, let's let him, let
No,
him.
I understand.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask for the email address again and I'm done.
Yeah.
Just help desk at cityofnormandy.gov.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Council Member Maurice Hunt. I have two questions to ask them. So you're telling me that if the budget that was sent to the council that was from last year and we want to use it as a reference and we put it in a mailbox or wherever we those emails are gone, right?
They could be, depending on what the timing and whether you deleted them out of your deleted items or not.
So if the council member didn't delete them,
they should still be there.
But if they've been deleted, not by the council member, and the council member goes back and look, if they've been on the council for 4 years, it was that you can go back 2 years and get any documents. Now we can't do that. So is that something that you're fixing?
It'll be fixed moving forward, yes, with the solution that we're going to, that it will no longer be an issue.
But all the old documents from the budget from 2020, 2019, 2018, they was there. Now they're not there anymore.
No, I'm not saying that the documents are gone. It just depends on if they were saved in email and then deleted. It's probably better off, Councilman, if you send me an email, if you have specifics of what you want me to look for, and I can tell you whether it's there or not, rather than eat up the council's time and the citizens.
Okay, and my last question is, why can't the council 24 hours after this meeting is over with receive a recording or a video of this Zoom meeting and be sent to their homes or given the opportunity to be picked up at the city hall, so we can have this as a reference? So when we're trying to approve the agenda, we have the actual recordings where we can go over it and say, yep, we did discuss this, let's approve the agenda. So can you make those CDs available for the council?
Well, making the CDs is kind of a moot point because as I explained earlier, I'm going to post those on YouTube and post the link to them. You can
I understand that, but that's later on. The council needs this within 24 hours.
No, I'll get it done within 24 hours. I'll have it posted there up to YouTube. I just have to create an account and basically put a link on the website, and you just go to the website and then you can download it to whatever media you'd like.
Okay, so this
How
meeting will be.
soon are you?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to ask him, how soon is he expecting to start doing that for you?
I'm gonna start that tonight because there was a focus put on it and I was asked to address it. So I'm gonna set up the account tonight. It'll probably be posted tomorrow morning.
Okay, and then then my last question is, if we're not going to get the actual recording as a council, how do we know that if it's been edited or not?
Okay, that's.
I'm just asking a question. I didn't ask.
How do you know if it's been edited or not?
Right, I'm just asking him a question.
This has gone far enough.
So I mean, you're basically gonna look at your Zoom meeting and everything else. I mean, you were present during the meeting. If you watch the meeting from beginning to end, I think it'll be pretty obvious that nothing was cut out of it. I mean, there's nobody that can go in and edit it. There's limited access to the Zoom meetings. It's basically me and one other person at this particular point that are administrators on the account. So, I mean, it gets stored up in the cloud. We bring down a copy. I'm gonna take that copy and put it up on YouTube.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
really need to move on. We spent 30 minutes on an IT report. We got a 50-page agenda. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, to the residents, I just want to thank you and Sam for getting this information to our homes for the first time. You got this information to our homes, the council's homes. We've been asking for it for like 2 months.
Okay, this is beyond the IT update. I really need to keep on agenda. We're gonna stay on the agenda. I really appreciate that comment, but we're gonna move on. We need to move on. Well, yes, we.
You have the floor.
No, sir, you don't have the floor.
You just gave it to me.
No, we need to move on, sir. No, we're moving on.
Thank you, and I just.
I really do appreciate it, Rick. I really do. Yeah, and that's not what we're discussing now. So we need to keep the meeting moving, and I don't mean to be disrespectful.
You are, because you.
No, I'm not. I mean, we've been here an hour and a half and we haven't got to the first bill yet. We've got 7 bills that we're gonna debate.
And we do have 7 bills.
Come on, let's move
All
on.
I'm saying is thank you.
I appreciate that. I truly do. I truly do. Thank you.
City President.
Mr. Ellis, do you have a report for us? Mr. Ellis, are you on the Zoom call? Oh, no, you're not. And you can use this if you like, unless you're on your phone.
Yes, yes. On my phone.
Here, I'm just gonna let the folks hear you. Then I'll just hold this.
Good evening to everyone. What I would like to say is that we have been behind in our financial reporting. Our financial director is Angela Dorn with the firm Sickish Incorporated, and they had some challenges in trying to get the financial reports prepared since July. I will go ahead and read an email that she sent me today. And I actually have been following up with her for the last 4 months to this effect as well. So I'll just read this briefly. She said, I thought I would have July at least ready today, but in reviewing last night, I think we need to make some additional adjustments. I will send each month to you as I feel more confident in the reporting. I just hate to send something that will need to be adjusted later. She apologizes for the delay, but they have been doing a lot of extra work for the city to keep operation moving forward. So that is the summary of my report. And I will be attempting to work with Ms. Dorn to try to get something for us in January for July, August, and hopefully September, but we will see. And then if I need to work with anyone here at the city to try to get something, if that's not quite ready, I can try to do that in my spare time as well. But if you need that, please let me know.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? All righty, let's move on. Old business.
Mr. Beckman, on old business, you got item D. Oh, B, I'm sorry. And the
Well,
council voted.
let's wait till we get to B. Let's wait till we get to B.
All right, then.
Item A. Item A is the waste management contract. Bill number 09-07-007, which that divests us from the trash collection business. There was a change. We went from 2 bulk items of 60 pounds to 1 bulk item per week of 100 pounds, which is any piece of furniture you can pretty much imagine. But it will be every week. So you can put a large item out every week. And that's the only change that was made on 09-07-007. I'd like a motion for the second reading of 09-07-007, please.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion for the second reading. Do I have a second?
A second.
Seconds made by Evans. And if I could have a roll call, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Moss. Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Riley,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Councilmember Moss.
Yes.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Bill 0907-007, an ordinance to divest and discontinue solid waste collection and disposal services throughout the city in lieu of granting an exclusive license agreement to a private service provider for the same and to establish the rules and governance thereof. This bill divests us. The second bill will grant to, if you so approve it, to Waste Management, the contract, the exclusive contract. But do I have a motion to approve Bill 0907-007?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Evans.
I would like Anthony Gray to explain what you just said because you was all over the place.
Sure. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Then we'll have a discussion.
My second. Go ahead.
You made the first, didn't you?
Yeah, I was reading
Yeah.
the bill.
Do I have a second, please? We have a motion and a second. Mr. Gray, there's a question as to what this bill does. Can you
Right.
explain, please?
Yeah, so real shortly, heretofore, the city of Normandy has provided trash collection and removal services as a public service to its citizens. This bill would remove that public service and make it a private service. Also included in the bill is the intent of the city to engage one provider that would be awarded an exclusive contract from the city to provide said services that were previously provided publicly. So you will no longer be in the trash collection business. It will be turned over to a private company. They will bill separately for that service, and Normandy would essentially privatize that industry.
Anthony Gray, this is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. So on this final vote that we do tonight, right now, if this motion passed, we are out of the trash business. So if a citizen calls a council member and complains about the trash or they didn't pick their trash up, the council do not have the power anymore to make a phone call and have them to turn around and pick it up for no additional charge. So once we vote tonight, the city of Normandy is done. We're no longer in the trash business. Is that correct?
That's the sum total of it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh, did you want to address that question?
I would like to address that question. One thing we can do.
Yeah, this is a gentleman from Waste Management. Mr. Hunt will address the question for you.
What we can do is I can give each council member my information. Any citizens concerned, they can reach out directly to me. We can take care of issues in-house. So any concerns they have, if there's a missed pickup, if there is trash left on the ground that should not be there, get the information to me. I will take care of it.
Thank you.
This is Councilmember Hunt.
And what's your name?
Josh, I don't know.
My name is Joshua Johnson with Waste Management.
Joshua Johnson with Waste Management.
This is Councilmember Hunt. I would like to ask him a question. So right now, the trash is being picked up exactly at 7 a.m. in my ward. And if a citizen forgets or running out or trying to do whatever to try to get their trash out and they miss that, we as the council, you said now today we can call you. Will that citizen be charged an extra charge for you guys to come back and pick that charge up? I mean, that trash up. Or
Not
do
at
they have
all.
to
We
wait?
would try to recover. We would do everything in our power to recover it as soon as possible, depending on other service flow issues, anything like that. But we would work to recover as quickly as possible.
I mean, quick as possible is that day, because I was looking at the contract, it doesn't say that.
Well, I could address that to some degree. Really, it's going to be the responsibility of the resident to get their trash out the night before, because we do know Waste Management collects early. And they do, and people are just going to have to get in the habit of not taking their trash can out in the morning. They take it out the evening before, which for me is a lot more convenient anyway.
Okay, so if a senior citizen, because I'm asking you this, Mark, if a
Okay.
senior citizen is needing the help of someone in their home or to come by to take their trash out and they forgot to take it out or take it out 30 minutes past the time that they usually come, that senior is going to have to leave that, because that's what's been happening. They have to leave the trash back in their backyard for additional week until they come back because they haven't been coming back and picking it up.
Well, Mr. Johnson explained that he'll work with you on that. And I've stated that, yes, you need to take your trash out. I mean, that's just the responsibility of, if you want your trash picked up, you need to take your trash out. That's not really a high expectation to take your trash out. Now, he's already said he'll work with you if there's mistakes made or a senior citizen needs help. He's explained that he'll work with them, but contractually, I don't see anything in the contract that would obligate them, if somebody routinely doesn't get their trash out, to come make a special trip to accommodate a particular person if it's an ongoing issue. That would be irresponsible.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilman Moss.
You said there's once a week, a bulk pickup of one item, 100 pounds, up
Yes,
to
sir.
100 pounds.
Right.
Okay, what if there's 3 items and they don't total 50 pounds?
Well, I'll let you address that again, Mr. Johnson.
For efficiency purposes, it has to be one item. We can't have multiple items out there. It is one item. So we can continue at the rate or continue at the efficiency rate we need to.
And I can add to that too. We were doing it once a month, which really wasn't convenient for the residents. If we do it every week and we pick up one 100-pound item every week, I think that's really, for most people, that's going to be a really good service to have. And what it will also eliminate, and we've addressed this before, is that everybody knows somebody that lives in Normandy that would clean out their basement, bring it to Normandy, pile it in somebody's front yard, and it would be on us to pick it up. And we got burnt with that quite a few times, like this mountain of trash that we have to pick up because we don't have any limit on bulk pickup. But I can't imagine that if you have 100-pound bulk pickup every week, what you couldn't get rid of in a family residence.
Okay, this is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. The main purpose and the reason why the city of Normandy got into the trash business years and decades ago is because when you drive through our neighborhoods right now, we don't have an abundance of trash and large items still sitting in our community, because we go through, we pick up the trash, and our neighborhoods look good. Now we're switching over to the same trash company that other neighborhoods and other cities are using. And when you drive through their neighborhood, it looks horrible. That was the one thing that the city of Normandy was proud of, is Normandy had their own trash, and we could send them out whenever we want to. We could send them out if they need to work overtime, they need to work Saturday. If it was 4th of July and it was extra boxes, we paid them overtime to wherever to clean the city up thoroughly. Now we're giving that option away and putting our whole trash and the way our city look into a contractor.
Yeah, and I touched on this before. These sanitation trucks are heavy equipment. And I'm not disparaging our guys because they're not set up to do it. They couldn't change a tire that we had down there. They just don't have the jack to lift the truck, the pneumatic tools to take the wheel off. This is big, heavy, dangerous equipment. We don't have a shop facility that can manage it. We don't have trained mechanics. We don't have the routine maintenance that's required to keep these machines running. And like I said, when you work on these big trucks, it's dangerous. This is high pressure hydraulics, big equipment, and we're not equipped to manage this any longer. It's just, we've operated on a shoestring for a long time. And I finally did get one truck up and running. I do have one truck in service, and I can almost assure you, it'll go 30 days and break down again. That's been the
Mr. Bailey.
routine. Yes, sir.
Can the councilman speak?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
what is the cost for 1 year for picking our trash up? What is the cost for 1 year?
I can, if I had a calculator, I could do it.
It's on page, the last page of the contract.
While he's working on that, Rick, I can tell you it's $25.
No, I wanted the total for 1 year.
Okay.
Don't tell me about one person. No, sir, excuse me, Johnson.
Yes.
I want to know the total, not the net, but the total, what your company is going to make from Normandy in 1 year. Because you want a 3 year.
I can't give you that information.
I need to know that.
Proprietary information.
I need to know that if it's going to be 300,000 or 100,000.
I can't give you that information.
I need to have that information.
I can't.
I think
I
the citizens,
legally cannot give you that
okay, the
information. That's
citizens,
proprietary information.
okay, the citizens out there, the ones that are here, you don't want to know what it's going to cost us.
Oh, no. No, that number, yeah, that number we have, it's per resident. It's, what does it cost per resident times 906 homes?
Listen, I'm not the city councilman for one resident. I'm the city councilman for Ward 3.
Okay, so what information do you
Ward
need?
3, and I do represent the city of Normandy, Ward 4, 2, and 1. And I'm asking a question because I am a resident. What is it going to cost the city for 1 year for your services?
Well, the city would have no cost because we're going to be directly billing the citizens.
Okay, the citizens live in the city, sir. Now, you asked me for a contract for 3 years in our city, and the mayor just told you, as well as Councilman Hunt just told you that, ask you what it costs, and what we need, and what the citizens need. We have 26 people in here or whatever, but there's 4,000 out there that we represent.
The prices are on
You know,
exhibit A.
I'm not asking for that. I'm speaking-
I don't know what it is you're asking.
I'm asking you, what is it gonna cost? What is your company going to make?
I can't give you that information.
Well, give me that information before I can vote.
Wait, hold on. Rick, I want to make sure what information you're looking for.
It's simple.
All right, how much does it cost, right?
It's simple.
No, he wants to know what their profits are gonna be from Normandy.
I just want to know what his total is going to be, his gross when he.
That's easy to do. That's easy to do.
That doesn't total
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
gross?
yeah. We can do that.
I have that number.
Please.
Thank you.
For the first year, each resident, each household will be charged $23.75 per month. And for 906 households per year, that comes out to $258,000. $258,000 in about that area.
258,000
Yes.
is what we're going to.
He said 258 a year.
Yes.
That's
And how much did he say monthly?
22. It's on page 40, exhibit A. It's on page 40. You got this.
Yeah, the entire scale is on page 40 of your packet. Exhibit A, company rates.
The first year is $23.75, the second year is $25.99, the third year is $27.29.
Okay, good.
So every year we're looking for this to go up versus what we're doing now
Exactly.
quarterly.
Yes.
It's gonna go up. So
Can I ask a question, Councilmember Hunt?
Go ahead.
So we're going from $258,000 a year, where the city of Normandy was only charging in labor and vehicles and gas. It was only costing us 200, almost, it was less than 200,000.
How'd you come up with that number?
Because that was what Angela Dorn told us in 2020, what the trash company was costing in our budget. And that she said that in our budget in 2020, that the city of Normandy, the sanitation made a profit of 150 to 179,000. So now he's
Maurice, that's just not accurate. We operated in the red last year. We
did
would
not
have to raise our rates. We have to raise our rates. That's just not true.
No,
we made
that is true. And we only, can I speak? Because I had the floor. In 2020, the council voted to increase the trash $2, and the senior citizens stayed at the present rate only because of the little extra to dump, not to maintain. Because the city of Normandy still always made a profit of $150,000 to $170,000.
That is just ludicrous. That's just not true. That's
the reason why we asked you to bring Angela Dorn so she can show what 2018, 19, and 20 was in the budget.
Oh, hold on just a minute. Hold on. Sam, can you take $65 times 4 times 906?
Yeah, it says $249,000.
That's what we charged our residents last year. 249,000. It's going up to 258. And last year, look at the budget, we operated in the red for sanitation.
And we also charge for dumpsters, and we charge extra from out of sanitation. So the number that you're projecting right now is not the actual number. It's just the number that you adding up right now. So that's the reason why we asked Angela Dorn to come, so Angela Dorn can show you the budget in 2018, 2019, and 2020 that showed that sanitation always brought in a profit of over 150 to 170. Sanitation department was self-containing.
Then why did they operate in the red last year?
Does that account for sanitation not being picked up for the last 2 years?
Listen, we would not provide it. Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
You know, I want to ask a question. For the last 2 years, sanitation has been a mess. The trucks keep breaking down. People go weeks without getting their trash picked up. I believe, limb tip and leaves, nothing getting picked up. So you guys are saying that we need to go back to this?
So is that, you're saying that's when Rodney was taking control of things? Is that what you're saying?
No, for the last year and a half. You know what the problem was. Don't go back to Rodney. Please don't do that.
Well, so the question that you're saying,
so with this, Mr. Hunt, you want to go back to that?
When going back to a year and a half, when before the change in the department heads, sanitation only had one working truck. When in 2020, in January 2020, and until Mark Beckman got in office, they always kept 3 running trucks because the council approved.
Okay, so let's make a deal now. Let's buy a new truck. Let's find some money to buy a new truck right now. And then we can
listen, folks.
We can.
Okay, can I just?
I have a question. I have a question. This is Councilwoman Smith. I have a question.
Go ahead.
So in regards to recycle, it mentions in this contract that it was picked up weekly. So as of right now, that has been some of the biggest complaints that I've been receiving from residents over here in Ward 2 about their recycle is not being picked up weekly. So was that not a part of this initiative?
It is, and I can address that. There have been occasions where people are not used to, there's been a lot of trash in the recycle where we would pick it up and you're not supposed to have trash in the recycle. That comment was made a lot, that it was just dirty recycle and they won't pick it up because they can't recycle it.
If people do it all.
Well, what about the ones that were doing it properly? I have several neighbors over here that complain they are doing it properly, but theirs have not been picked up.
There were some,
and I think one of the lady indicated she came and spoke to you and was not provided feedback and was told that her recycle would be picked up and it wasn't the next week. So they just been adding to it.
Well, and there are going to be complaints, but I will tell you, not nearly as much as when we didn't have a truck for 2 weeks and didn't get our trash picked up for 2 weeks. Those complaints.
So it does supposed to be picked up weekly as of right now.
Yes, yeah. And when they get a customer list, right now they're working for the city. They're not working for the individual. So when a private company takes over and they have their own customer list, it's going to smooth things out dramatically.
So, Mr. Johnson, you're saying that you want a 3-year contract, right?
Yes, sir.
So that would mean that in 3 years, we will pay your company around 700,000 or change or something like that.
Yes.
Something like that, $700,000. Okay, I'm just, as a board member, I'm gonna think on this because I have to think for my citizens, you know, and I speak to them all the time, you know, so, you know, I'm not concerned about people who don't care about me. I'm not concerned about that. I just concerned about the people that I work with. I love everybody, but I can't have everybody love me. I ain't worried about that. I'm just gonna.
Let's
do
stay
my
on
job.
subject.
So I just wanted to let that be known that a 3-year contract with you guys would cost us, the gross would be around 750,000. Okay, I just want the board to know that, okay, and the residents. Okay,
This is Council Member Maurice Hunt. And
Hang on,
Can
Mr. Hunt.
you explain in the contract what a bundle is?
A bundle is going to be, and it's 6 inches wide, it'll be wrapped in twine and sticks. So when you bundle those sticks together, wrap it in twine and we'll be able to pick it up.
So sticks can't go into the bag.
Correct.
Okay, can you explain the process not the process, but how for valet service?
Valet service, what we will do is anyone with a disability who can show proof of disability, either a doctor's note or a handicap placard showing that they are disabled, we will put them in what we call our onboard unit or OBU unit as valet service. So they will actually sit the can, as long as it is on wheels, in the driveway, and we will come up, the man will come up, pick it up, take it directly to the truck and then put it back.
Does in the driveway mean near the house? It can stay near.
Yes, it can stay near the house. Yes.
Okay. Can you put that in, because that's not in the contract?
Actually, that was changed. That amendment was made. We just didn't get to that yet. Yeah, okay.
I have a question.
We didn't get to that part of the contract.
Martin like to ask a question.
Yes. Hang on. I think Councilwoman Campbell's got one more and then you're next.
I'm sorry.
As far as if residents need a bigger container for their refuge, is that something that they can order from you or they order from us?
Yes, they'll order that from us. They can do it online, or they can do it via calling a number or calling the city, and the city can get hold of me, and we will get a bigger container ordered for them.
So if a resident does not place their trash, because I see this when I'm driving, if they put bags on the outside, you will not pick those up?
We will not pick those up.
Okay. Thank you.
Another question, Mayor, do we?
I think Councilwoman Martin.
Go ahead, I'm
next.
sorry.
Are you there, Councilwoman Martin?
Yes, thank you. I have a question for Mr. Johnson. What is the driving force for the annual increase for the next 2 to 3 years?
That is based on inflation, on kind of the direction of where inflation is going. We're seeing an increase in inflation across the market on multiple goods. We put our price increases based on those factors.
Which goods, if you don't mind me asking?
About 3%.
Yeah, there's,
I'm sorry.
again, we discuss inflation because it's the primary driver, but there is fuel, there is taking it to the dump, there is paying the drivers, there's multiple different that go into why we have to increase price.
I will tell you, we just got a letter in addressing that question. We just got a letter from Champ Landfill. They just went up 3% today. I just got that letter today.
Will the resident given like a pamphlet of like information, just like outline everything, or do we just?
Let me ask on that because that was never really discussed, but let me see, let me check.
I'm just asking like a pamphlet. Yeah, okay, yeah, like something like if a new resident came, like this is your information, or even since we're all getting this new service, a pamphlet of some information, like this is who you call, and you know.
We can definitely look at that.
Welcome
and
to the
see,
company.
even if we could put a section on the website for people,
Or something
we
like
could
that,
look
yeah.
at some different things to help you.
So this is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. I'd like to ask.
Hang on, Mr. Hunt. I think Mr. Nelson had a question.
Yeah, the container exchange, do we have a charge for that in our city?
No, we do not.
We don't charge?
No.
Okay, so he wants to charge $25 more for, and I guess they may not need a trash can maybe every 3 or 4 months or so, maybe, unless something happens.
it's not even 3 or 4 months. I mean, most people can go a year with one trash can, that's
Right.
kind of a minimum.
Right.
But yeah, if they break, if they do just run their course, it is a $25 fee to swap them out. They bring in a new container.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Maurice, you got something?
Mr. Hunt?
So my final question is, Mayor Beckman.
Yeah.
And this is to you. If we vote and the council votes to continue services with our own trash and vote this trash company out, how long will it take you to get our trucks back on the street and picking up our trash?
Well, I've got one truck running now, but there's no guarantee because like I said, these guys aren't experienced at maintaining these vehicles. They can't work on them.
I understand that, but we have always, our tires and our repairs, because now we have a mobile service that comes out and fix the truck on site, and the same mobile service also changes the tires, so we won't have that issue. So I'm just asking you, if the council votes no with this contract, that means that we will be back in the trash service. Will you put our guys back on the street to?
I won't have any choice to put our guys back on the street, but I will tell you, this mobile service took almost 5 weeks to get this truck up. And we've had one in the shop for probably 8 or 9 weeks now that they still don't have parts for. Parts are an issue. We don't inventory parts. If we're at the mercy of a third party to get our trucks maintained and serviced and repaired, and it's been a disaster. They're old trucks, and I think it'd be a real disservice to the residents. I'm curious as to the motivation not to do this, because frankly, they can do a better job of it. This is what they do.
Right. Now, Mayor, you did make a motion and a recommendation that you would like to hire a mechanic and a supervisor. That person got the same title, to keep the upkeep of all the vehicles. So you did make that recommendation.
Well, we discussed whether to go that direction or to go with the Public Works Director. We can't afford both. And we don't have the facilities to work on these vehicles. We would have to completely rebuild Public Works. This is just not practical. It's for a city of 4,800 to maintain a couple of sanitation trucks, but you'd have to keep 2 up and running. So when one goes down, you can pick up the trash.
Well, let's go to a vote. Let's just go to a vote.
Well, I hope you don't let the residents down on this one, because they've been doing a good job getting our trash picked up. People are happy with it. All right.
No, not all. So
Order,
don't speak
please.
for all.
Order, please.
Yeah, not all. Don't speak for all.
Okay, Bill 0907-007. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Second. Can I have a roll call, please?
All right, and I want to make clear to the council that if we approve.
We can't hear.
I can't hear.
Can't hear. Your audio on, please. He'll correct it.
Okay.
I want to make clear to the council that if we approve 007, it would be wise to also approve 008, which is the next bill that actually sets the contract. We don't want to be hot in the middle. So with that said, Councilmember Martin.
I still didn't understand what was said.
I will explain again. If you choose to pass Bill 0907, divesting us from the trash collection business, it would be very wise to also approve the next upcoming bill, which hires waste management to take over our trash services. We don't want to divest and then not accept a contract to pick up trash. We'll be stuck in the middle.
Anything. I understand.
And yes means yes, we're passing it. No means we know we're passing it, right?
Correct. A yes vote is that we're divesting. We're getting out of the trash collection business is the yes vote.
Okay.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Moss.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt.
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
I abstain.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 nos, the ayes have it. Motion carries.
Well, Mr. Beckman, can I talk to Anthony Gray? I thought there had to be a majority. Can we ask Anthony Gray? I thought there had to be a majority. I mean,
That is a
all
majority,
the council
sir.
had to say yes.
No, that is a majority. 5-2
but
is a majority.
do it have to pass with all yes or all no?
Oh, no.
I'm asking Anthony Gray.
Okay, yes, go ahead and
it's
ask
a-
Mr. Gray.
It's a majority vote
Okay.
of the council.
Thank you. Next item of business, Bill 0907-008. This is the ordinance that gives Waste Management the exclusive contract for the residents of the city of Normandy. After our first reading, there were new definitions added at the request of Councilwoman Campbell. One is the valet service, which was explained, and the other is there was no explanation of what's yard waste is the term that we used, and you used the term green waste, and it is, okay,
Yes, it's green waste, it's section O in the definition.
okay. So those were both addressed. Do I have a motion to approve a motion for the second reading of Bill 0907-008? Motion by Campbell. Do I have a second?
No second.
Second by Evans. Any comment? Any questions for Mr. Johnson from Waste Management?
Yeah, I have one
No,
question.
just go ahead, Tony.
How much stuff can you bundle to stay with under that 100 pounds?
Oh, as far as, no, that's not 100 pounds, that's 6 inches in diameter.
6 inches, 6 inches in diameter. Okay.
So kind of, to say what that would exactly be, would be a little tricky, but yeah, it's 6 inches in diameter.
Because, with me, I like to turn stuff up,
Yeah.
cut it up into small pieces and then bundle it up. So would that be okay?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Does
Like
it matter
a
the length?
table or something like
Oh, the
that?
length does matter on that, let me get that out really quick.
Because I'm really efficient getting rid of stuff.
And we still got the limb chipper too.
Oh,
It can be 3 feet long and 6 inches.
What page is that on?
okay.
And that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
Oh, what page was that? I'm sorry.
That is in that section O with the green.
Section O with the same definition of, that was, oh, I can't remember.
Section, with green waste?
Well, I do.
Oh, I see.
Okay, she's got it. Mr. Hunt had a question also. Councilman Hunt?
Mine is not a question, mine is comment, is that the Normandy Trash has been in business for a long time, and a lot of municipalities was on board to come to the city of Normandy to have their trash service to move to the city of Normandy. I don't know what happened with the numbers. I don't know what's going on with the finances, but for years, the trash company has always made money. I don't know what's going on, but these guys that do trash for our city, we're putting them out of business and just making them work on the street. And that's not what they was hired for. So I just wish that we do not approve this change for our trash. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for the second reading of 0907-008.
Can I have a question, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask, just let me know, but I just wanted to know the life expectancy of the bins before we start moving forward. I just needed to know that for the
So-
residents to know.
Yeah, the life expense, I will tell you, there's been an issue with our bins and your truck with cracking the bins.
Okay.
Can you address that?
Well, first off, in the contract, we will bring, if those break, we bring out, that's not considered a swap, but I may have said that before.
Okay,
But if those break, if those have damage, we will replace those.
okay,
The life expectancy on ours are usually 2 to 3 years.
okay,
Best guess I could give you in standard operation.
okay.
So,
Did you hear the answer?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because when he clarified swap, I didn't want to make sure if the truck breaks
Yeah,
the
there has
bins
been an
that
issue.
we're not responsible for it.
Our bins weren't made for your equipment, and there's been an issue with splitting those trash cans.
Absolutely, and as we move into a permanent contract, we'll be able to swap those out.
Okay,
Just based on the way things were, we couldn't do that.
right, I understand. Yeah,
So
you were on a temporary.
next- and then, so they're going to, if every 2 to 3 years, if they see a need to replace them, then they will replace them, not swap them. Is that correct?
We will replace them as needed, because I'm just giving a general ballpark. We will, if they last 5, 7, 10 years, we're not.
Right.
If they're broke, if they're wear and tear, then we will come in and replace.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because if there's a cost on the resident for something like that, I want them to be aware of it. That's all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Nelson.
After 3 years, your contract is over. You either renew the contract or you just walk away. And there's our ordinance state that we can start our trash company again, if that's possible. I'm just asking.
At the end of the 3 years, that will be based on the mayor and the mayor, the city council, how you want to go with things. You can put it back out for bid for other contractors to bid on it. You can create a public works department that can do it. That is completely up to you at the end of the 3 years.
Okay, is that, Mayor, did you hear that, Anthony? Mr.
Yes, sir.
Gray?
I heard that. I did hear
So
that.
that's, okay, I understand.
That
So we
is
can-
accurate. That is accurate. That is correct.
Okay, all right.
And this is Councilmember Hunt. To add on to that, once we get rid of the trash company, it can never come back. It's done.
Order, please.
Because
order
the
in
simple
chamber.
fact is, once we stop doing trash, we're only gonna have one trash truck. Mr. Beckman has already stated that he's gonna get rid of the other trash trucks. And we won't be licensed to dump trash anymore. So we won't be able to work out a deal with the dump company. And the guys that we hired to work the trash trucks are not gonna be here anymore. So we will have to start all over and spend a lot more money to start up a business when we already have a business already in place.
So one more question. For $750,000 in 3 years, spending that money, is it capable that we can run our trash company and build on it with this money that we're gonna be spending anyway? So
That is not for me to say.
I'm asking my board.
Well, I can address that. We're spending, the residents are paying $249,000, which is $747,000 in that same time period. $747,000 in that same time period. So comparing apples to apples, we're spending, the residents are spending $747,000 now. And
in 3 years.
In 3 years.
Yeah, so
Right.
can we utilize that money that we're making to build on?
We're not making
I'm
it
just
though.
asking.
We're spending. It's gone.
If everybody paid upfront right now, and we have the money in hand for 3, we don't have the money in hand. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the trucks. We don't have people that know how to do it. So let's just get it passed.
Well, I'm just asking. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna spend this money, so.
So we have a motion and a second for the second reading of 09-07-008. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yeah.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yeah.
I have it, motion carries. Second reading of 09-07-008, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an exclusive license agreement with Waste Management of Missouri, Inc. for the collection and disposal of waste, recyclables, bulk items throughout the city. Do I have a motion to approve 008?
Motion.
Motion made by Campbell. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Evans. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yeah.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yeah.
The ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Sam, can you assign, please, ordinance number to Bill 007,
Like that number now.
please?
Ordinance number 20221-004.
And Bill 008, can you assign, please, an ordinance number to that?
Number 2021-005.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Josh,
Yes,
your
sir.
number, please.
My number is 314-399-6003.
6003. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And can I have just a?
Yes.
First, I want to clarify a couple of Ms. Campbell's points. The mailer is a go. I'm still learning a couple things about that, but we are going to be able to do a mailer. And when we talk swaps and removals, that's only for vanity purposes. So if they are functioning, if they're not functioning, if they're broke, we swap it for no charge. The second thing, I'd like to thank the council and the citizens of Normandy for giving us this opportunity. And we hope we can, so we're going to serve you with the best possible service we can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Josh Johnson. It's Johnson, right?
Yes, Josh Johnson, yes.
Hey, Mayor, before we move on, I know we passed. I want to give a shout out to our public works team. I mean, they worked pretty hard today picking up this. They came back 2 or 3 times in the cold, and they did a good job back in the leaves. I just want to give a shout out to them.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, sick time sharing policy. This had a first reading at our October meeting or November meeting.
Mr. Beckman,
yes, sir.
that must be a mistake because the council voted no against that.
Well, we had the first reading. They voted no.
No.
They voted no against the second reading. Now we're having that carried it over to this meeting. We couldn't have both readings at the same meeting. But now at this meeting, we can have a second reading if the council so chooses by a majority vote.
Okay, can we clarify that with Anthony Gray,
Sure.
please? I thought we voted. And
I don't, to be honest with you, Councilman Hunt, I do not recall the vote. It should probably be accurately reflected in the minutes. I don't recall the vote. We didn't have a second reading. I agree with the mayor for sure. What happened with the first reading, I just don't recall.
I recall because the citizens was very upset because we voted it down. And then Mark Hall walked out and someone made a statement that you just shot down what your chief just asked for. So I know that those are in the minutes and stuff. And until we get a good understanding that we voted this down or not, I would like to table it for the next meeting. And I would like for someone to check and make sure that we voted on this or not.
Item
I'd
B.
like to make a motion to table this.
Sam, go ahead, please.
We did not vote to approve this at the previous regular council meeting. We couldn't have voted to approve it if we didn't have a second reading. We only had a first reading, and this is the second reading. So I can say with confidence that the council did not vote not to approve. They only voted not to have a second reading.
So in the minutes, it does not, or in the recording, it does not ask me, Maurice Hunt, asking the mayor, would you like to change the structure to police officer instead of staff? And the mayor stated, no, I want it to all employees. So that was not recorded and not in the minutes.
Well, we approved at this meeting the October 13, 2021 minutes, which are in this packet. So
Now, the first reading happened at the November 2nd meeting.
okay,
So the council has not approved minutes for the November 2nd meeting. The mayor thought it was prudent just to have the October minutes on the meeting in essence of not overloading the.
Let's leave it up to the council. If the council would like to table it, they'll vote to not table it. And then we could continue on. If the council would like to turn it down, they can turn it down. If they want to table it, leave it up to the council.
well,
We are voted to approve.
the comment was made by Councilwoman Campbell. We voted to approve the agenda. This is an item on the agenda. If you can vote not to have the second reading if you so choose, and that, like we did before, will in effect table it.
But you remember, I asked you that we wanted to remove some items, and you said that we will discuss this in our old business. So you said that we couldn't remove anything. That
You
was
can
your
remove
exact
from the
words you said
consent
today.
agenda. So you can remove items from the consent agenda and we can vote on them independently. And that's what we did.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Just go to vote and
Let's go. Okay.
but
Bill
like I said,
0907-005. Do I have a motion for a second reading? Motion by Campbell. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Evans. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
no.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Bill 0907-005, an ordinance amending the City of Normandy Personnel Policy Manual to include a sick leave sharing program. Do I have a motion to approve Bill 005?
I have a couple of questions. if you
Sure,
don't
go
mind.
ahead. Well, let's
Okay.
get the motion in a second and then we'll go
Oh,
into
okay.
discussion. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion by Campbell, second,
I'll second.
second by Evans. Any comment? Go ahead.
Okay, just for more sound decisions for the council. I would like to see details as well, like when would is the anticipated start of this? Because it would seem like if it is approved, it would need to start at the beginning of the year when time rolls over, if that's how the time works here. Also, what is the cost per employee for this program? Is there a minimum or a maximum cap on usage? And what are the benefits to the employee?
All good questions.
It says max is 5 days.
There is a max of 5 days in the ordinance.
And each employee.
So
has
40 hours a week.
10 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and any of these have, correct me, help me out here, Sam. Any of these have to be approved by the city administrator. Is that the case?
I believe that is the case.
I mean, let me read it real quick.
The mayor has the ability to revoke that right.
Okay, so this is with the approval of either the mayor or the city administrator, and there's a cap of 5 days on it.
Okay, do they roll over?
Yeah, the city administrator or department head of the sick recipient reserve the right to deny sick leave sharing requests if they think it's in the best interest of the city.
Did you hear that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, Sam? See, I didn't hear you.
My mic is out.
His mic's out. So yes, if it's in the best interest of the city, the mayor or city administrator can deny the request. And the
Okay.
rollover is a separate issue. We're not changing that. There's a limit of rollover hours past the calendar year. And that won't affect this. I mean, well, we're getting, I'm trying,
You don't
I
have to go
can't
into
quote to you,
too
I
much
can't quote to you the
detail
exact.
here. I just want to make sure all of this has been considered. So will this, is there like the cost per employee? How much if it's a program, what type of costs are involved? Or is that something we need to go in a closed session about?
No, that's not a closed session issue. We can discuss that right here. A cost analysis, it hasn't been done.
because the
And it's a
employees that
valid
are
question.
participating in this
Yeah.
need to understand what they're going to be out of pocket as well, because we have to look
Yeah.
out for their best
Mhm.
interest.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
trying to
I
be
will
Mayor,
tell you
if,
when we,
I just want to make sure
Mayor,
everyone.
right, no, I
understands the
appreciate
detail.
that. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Mayor, let me go
Um,
ahead and interject.
Go ahead.
Because yeah, okay. Because you asked me to draft the ordinance, and just for edification only, it was intended to allow benefits currently vested with employees to be able to share that benefit. The cost is the cost it was going to cost the employee anyway. Those are easily discernible costs. It's the cost of the benefit. The limitations are set in the policy. But I think Councilwoman Martin's question was legit, and I'm not sure it was being answered directly. That's the reason why I wanted to interject.
Thank
The
you.
cost of it is already computed in the benefits of the employee. It's not going to cost the city any extra money.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that
So
means
is
when
it,
you roll over to the next employee, is that employee going to have to pick up that difference, or does it remain with the originator?
No, the employee loses the benefit that they give to someone else. If I have 40 hours of sick leave in my bank, if I give someone 10 hours, I lose 10, I'm down to 30. Simple
Right, okay.
arithmetic on that. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. The council removed this because of the abuse that the city clerk was doing, giving employees time off her overtime or her vacation or whatever, where in our policy, it did not state that they can do that. Only police officers can share their time, but regular employees could not. So we in the city of Normandy has terminated employees or made employees pay that back, because in our policies, a regular employee cannot share another benefit from another employee. They come to the city administrator comes to the council, and we grant them any extra time that they needed. There has been employees in the past has abused that, and that's the reason why those changes have been made. Now you're going back to where employees can abuse that, and if they haven't worked a whole year, and employees can give them their overtime, give them whatever they need so they can continue on getting a check. And we have terminated employees abusing that power.
so this is Councilwoman LaWanda Smith. Can I say
Yes.
something?
Sure.
So even with that previous abuse, so if we approve this, I would think that we are going to create a whole policy forward. With that policy will include, as far as the process for requesting, the person that is giving would also have to provide documentation that they are volunteering to give their hours. We're going to have a process where someone, which in this case will be the city administrator, that is tracking and keeping up with this in more detail than what was previously done. That way it's accounted for across the board. I mean, I guess my thought about it is, I think that it would be a great benefit, especially to those that, in the instance they are not approved for FMLA, they don't qualify for ADA accommodations, and they all of a sudden get sick, or someone in their family gets sick and they really need to be able to take the time off, but at the end of the day, they lose their financial bearing. If it is in that scope that we're doing it and we're approving it based on that, I think that it'll be, I mean, my opinion, a help to our employees. I mean, I'm just saying, so that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. I think Chief Hall wanted to have a comment on this.
Just a couple clarifications. So, as far as it being tracked or it being
Can't hear Chief Hall.
I can't hear.
That's all right.
As far as it being tracked or regulated, it does say, just a clarification, instead of the mayor and city administrator, it says the city administrator or department head. So, and that helps out because we're closer to the situation. It'd be either here or with the department or over in courts. The only thing I think everybody needs to have under consideration that I caught was that when we do the sick transfer, if we have an officer, a regular patrolman donate to a sergeant, then it does say that the sick time is paid at the recipient's rate. I don't know if that's a thing.
It's a,
Yes.
it's a legitimate
Yes.
budget issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, I was going to point that out. Other than that, it's something that would ease a lot of mind, because as you all know, police department, when we just had an officer go out, I mean, thank God it's covered by workers' comp, but you never know with the injury. We can be chasing somebody or getting a kitten out of a tree and sprain an ankle. And so it would help out if we can get this done.
Yeah, so you mentioned and that's another piece of it that needs to be added into that agreement before they sign off on it, that, okay, if an officer is donating to a lieutenant, well, you're not going to get the same rate that if, being at a lieutenant rate, it is going to be more than likely lower. But I guess, amount, any help is
Yeah,
appreciated.
well, that is
So,
a legitimate concern if you're donating, if a patrol officer is donating sick time to a lieutenant, it's going to be a budget issue. That is a legitimate concern that may not have been considered.
Right, and that's a calculation that's impossible to make because we're not sure.
Right.
What the future will hold, but for lack of a better explanation, it should come out in the wash, right? I mean, a lieutenant will also donate his sick time to a lower officer. So, it will come out in the wash. And if we can reevaluate this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mayor.
Donate.
Councilwoman Ratliff has a question, then you're next. Thank you. Go ahead.
Even if you run out of time and share time, what about the sick leave? Does it take them out of having their sick benefit?
As far as,
Because if you don't have enough,
so you run out of sick time.
right, what happens to their medical?
Oh, we still have that, but it's just that the paid sick time. So after the sick time is exhausted, if the person can't return or whatnot, they just won't be getting paid. Now they'll still have their benefits, because they're still employed. But this will help them actually keep the paycheck.
Well, I guess what I'm saying with some jobs, if you run out of time,
And then you're not contributing to your.
you're
benefits.
right, to your
Right,
medical.
but I think we're covered in that. That would still be paid for by the city.
Okay.
Councilwoman Martin had a question. Are you there?
It's, just actually, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
It's
Can you
rough.
hear me?
It's bad connection.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
here.
coming through very well.
I can hear you guys perfectly.
Okay, your audio just came through. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify because I've heard vacation and everything else tossed around that this is for sick time only.
That is correct. This is strictly sick time. If somebody said vacation, they
I've
missed.
heard the other terms
Yeah.
tossed around. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Second of all, as far as the subordinate donating to a higher officer, I'm pretty sure there's a simple journal entry on the accounting side that can make an adjustment. Like, was that Mr. Johnson saying that something can come out in the wash? I'm sure there's a journal entry on the accounting side for payroll or something that can adjust this to reflect correctly on the bottom line. So I wouldn't think that unless someone can see something different, that there's a issue with an officer donating to a lieutenant or something.
Okay. Anybody else? We've got, we had the second reading. Now we had a motion to pass and a second to pass.
First by Campbell, second by Evans.
We need a roll call vote to pass Bill 005.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Ayes have it. And this is ordinance number, please.
2021006.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda. Second reading of the cell tower funds ordinance. And I want to comment on this before I ask for a motion. We sold the leases on the cell towers that produce $60,000 a year income. So we sold an income producing asset, and then we bought a building and took out a loan that is another $60,000 deficit to the budget. So we're paying a mortgage payment of $60,000 a year. That put a hole of $120,000 in the budget that was never really addressed. There was no accommodation to make up for that lost revenue of $120,000. And that's why I think it's really necessary to use the cell tower funds to make the payments on the new building across the street. When we passed the budget, we did that with the understanding that the cell tower funds were going to be used to make that payment. If we don't pass this, then I'll need to hear from the council where we cut $60,000 out of the budget to make up the difference. We've got the money sitting in the account to make these payments. And if we, like I say, if we don't pass this, we're going to be operating in the red to the tune of $60,000. And I don't know where we'll make that adjustment on a really tight budget already. So do I have a motion for the second reading of Bill 0907-004? Motion by Campbell, second, please.
I'll second.
Second by Evans.
I have comment.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes.
In our previous meeting, we voted for you to make, because that's a restricted fund, and we voted 6-2 for you not to use this fund to make payments out of. Matter of fact, Walter was asking, why don't you take the money that was generated for the sale of the cell site and apply the whole amount towards the building next door to pay the majority off or as principal. So, and we also was selling the St. Clair gas station to use that money to pay off Austin Lane. And we voted 6-2 for you not to do that. So how are we this is on the old business again.
The 6-2 vote was to not have the second reading at the same meeting. We had a first reading and we had a vote for the second reading, which required, because we're having the second reading in the same meeting, it required not beyond a majority, required everybody to vote in favor of, and it didn't pass. So now we're having the second reading. And again, if you vote no on this, that's your prerogative to do so. But I want to hear where we cut $60,000 out of the budget. We're going to have to amend the budget.
This is a question for Anthony because is that true that what Beckman is telling us?
That's my recollection of what took place at the last meeting. We did do a first reading, then there was a call for a vote for the second. It was not unanimously approved, so we could not do a second reading in the same meeting. So it was carried over until today's meeting for a second reading and passage.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Well, and I will tell you too, there's no line item in our budget to make these payments on this loan. The understanding was when we passed the budget was that we would use cell tower funds to make those payments, and it's $60,000 a year. So it's put me in a little bit of a bind. Pay the loan, make the payments, or make loan payments that aren't within the line item budget that I'm being held to.
Why don't you use the money? Why don't you use the money what it was intended for? And because how much do we owe on the property across the street?
$935,000.
Okay, so if you take that money that we have, that will make us only owe 200 and something thousand. Then if you would take the cell site, I mean, the St. Clair gas station that we sold for 115 or 118.
It was
to the
110.
110. If you take that 110, that means that all we owe on the Austin Lane is somewhere over $100,000.
The payments are
Take
still
that
there.
remaining amount. Could you take the remaining amount, go to a bank? Because we got a lot of equity in Austin Lane. Go
We
get
can sell
refinanced for 100,000.
Sir,
That'll
why
drop
would
your
you-
payments down.
Why would you think you have equity in Austin Lane when it was bought for about $380,000 over assessed value? Why would you think you have equity in it? I don't think we could sell it for 1.1 million. But we're not talking about selling it. That's irrelevant. We're talking about making payments on it that I have to make at the first of every month. I have one due in December. There's nothing in the budget to pay for it. I've been paying it out of the general fund. And we're going to be $60,000 in the hole if we don't use these funds. And at one point in time, I was told this was already understood that's what it was going to be used for. But
okay, so my final question, and I'm gonna be quiet. My final question is, if we have a buyer for the St. Clair gas station that's willing to give us 110, if you
I
take the
won't sign it
110,
unless I wouldn't sign it unless the council votes to do so.
Okay,
Why would you take? Well, let me finish. You asked a question. Why would you take a building that you put $450,000 in and sell it for 108 and include 2 buildings behind it as a bonus?
Because
how did we determine value on that property?
because the St. Clair gas station was remodeled, I don't know, 10 years ago, and all the stuff that was done to it has now decayed and cracking and chipping, and nothing was done inside of it. So instead of the city of Normandy investing over $400,000-$500,000 to finish the project and redo it, the council decided to let someone that was going to move in, which was a realtor company and a home remodeling company, move into that property and develop it, remodel it, and do the building behind it. And they wanted to purchase other buildings throughout Normandy.
Well, we're ready to move. We're ready to move forward with an appraisal on that building because the quiet title, my understanding, is cleared up on those 2 other vacant buildings. So let's get an appraisal on it and get it on the market, and everybody will be happy when we do that. And when that happens, then we can talk about paying off that loan. But right now I have loan payments to make, and I anticipate for the next 6 to 8 months, if we sold it tomorrow, I'd have loan payments to make to get a commercial building closed. So, did we get a motion for a second reading?
Yeah, but we did not vote to have the reading.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for the second reading. If it's voted down, I don't know what I'll do about it. I'll have to do some scrambling and adjusting, and I'll be asking the council for another budget amendment. So we've got a motion for the second reading and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
No.
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
I think her phone dropped.
aye or nay, Councilmember Smith.
Okay.
That wasn't her. I think that was.
That sounds, that was,
Explain it to her once again. She may be listening.
Councilmember Smith.
are you there?
He's not on. He's not on.
She's not on. I'm going to give this a few minutes to give her the opportunity to call back in. I apologize for the delay.
Mayor, can I ask a quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
If this is passed and we do make the payments, is there a way, since this money was already slated to pay the building off. Is there a way to just dedicate the rest of the money to just make, if anything, automatic payments, the full payments, however we agree to do it? This, I would think this money, shouldn't it be dedicated to paying this building off anyway? No
Well,
matter how we do it?
that was your intention, and we can't touch this money without the council's approval.
Right, of course.
I mean, so we can do anything we want with it. That's your pleasure. I'd very much like to pay it off, and it would depend on what we can get out of the sale of the Sinclair station.
Of course.
If I pay a portion of it off without renegotiating the loan, the payments will still remain the same.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But I would just wanted to make sure that we dedicate, because that was original conversations, to dedicate these funds to go toward paying this building off.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The problem was it generated $60,000. Those leases generated $60,000 in income. And then we took a loan out on this building to buy the one across the street. That's another $60,000. It created a huge hole in the budget. That's 120 grand, and it's hard to make that up. And there was no accommodation for that lost income. And then we had COVID and additional lost income from all kinds of reasons. So it put us in a bind.
So Mayor, what you saying?
I tell you what, if Councilwoman Smith, are you there? We've got a vote of 4 yeas, 3 noes. Motion carries for the second reading.
Mayor,
Yes,
I would ask City Attorney Anthony Gray's advice on Councilwoman Smith.
Mr. Gray, what do you, any recommendation on Councilwoman Smith, who was at the meeting and seems to have dropped?
Well,
I had
we're
to
not
take another. I had to take another call, so
Oh,
this
are you
is
back?
kind of late. Yes, I am.
Oh, good.
But I didn't hear anything, so I just called back in.
Okay, we're voting on the second reading, just to have the second reading of Bill 004, which was to use cell tower funds to make the payments on the building across the street. And you're the last vote.
The pressure. Well,
And
I
a yes
vote-
vote for the second reading is not obligating you to vote yes to pass the bill.
I vote yes.
Okay. We have 4 yeas, 5 yeas, 3 noes, motion carries. Bill 0907-004, I need my glasses, I'm getting fuzzy eyed. An ordinance authorizing the use of a portion of the revenues from the sale of the cell tower to be earmarked for payment to satisfy a monthly mortgage owed to Simmons Bank for a loan secured by a deed of trust on 7700 Natural Bridge Road, Normandy, Missouri.
Mr.
Do I
Beckman,
have
I hate to interrupt. You need to talk to Anthony Gray because that's a restricted fund. In order for it to pass, it must be unanimous by 8 votes.
Yeah, that's not true. It needs a majority.
Talk to
Yeah,
Anthony Gray because we made that a restricted fund.
I'm not sure where that number 8 comes from. That's a super majority. It only requires a majority vote of those elected to the council to pass any ordinance.
Okay.
It does not require a super majority, just a simple majority.
Even though it's a restricted fund and
no, these funds, for what I understand about the funds and the writing of the language, is that by ordinance, you can dedicate them for another purpose. And that was the interpretation I walked away with when I went over it some time ago with the mayor.
Okay, thank you. So Bill 0907-004, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Campbell, do I have a second? Second by Evans. Any additional comment? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Cleo, you there? Go back to her. She's had phone issues.
Councilmember Moss,
No.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
no.
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Ratliff,
No.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Can you reread that for me because my phone was, I don't know what's going on with the internet. Can you reread it for me so I can vote?
Sure, an ordinance authorizing the use of a portion of the revenues from the sale of the cell tower to be earmarked for payment to satisfy a monthly mortgage owed to Simmons Bank for a loan secured by a deed of trust on 7700 Natural Bridge Road, Normandy, Missouri.
Yes.
For the time, Mayor, how do you vote?
I vote yes to break the tie. Motion carries. All right, moving on, new business. Budget amendment to increase
Mayor,
police
I
salary.
would like to add that, can you add something to the new business?
After we get down to item D, we'll do it then.
Okay.
After item D, then ask for a new item to be added.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, next order of business. I need to look at my notes here. Is a budget amendment to increase police department salaries. Now, the ordinance that was delivered to you does three things. It amends the budget for the salaries for the police department. It authorizes us to use ARPA funds to fund that salary increase. And also it establishes a pay scale. It describes how those pay increases are allocated. And I'd like to let Chief Hall talk to you about the importance of this ordinance.
I know I spoke with you guys about this before, but yeah, we are in dire straits. We've compiled all kind of information. I'm just going to give you the base information. We are the lowest paid police department in this North County area, other than tiny Hillsdale and Belda Village or Belda City. But in comparison, the next lowest. So our officers right now, who have not gotten a raise in over 6 years, are at 46,000. I'm gonna throw these numbers out. The next lowest is 52,000, and that's why we have officers leaving. That's why we can't attract any officers. Everybody's going to go because the job is dangerous, and they're going to go where they can better provide for their families and themselves. It is imperative. I repeat, imperative that we get this amendment done, this ordinance done. We have to be competitive. There is no way we can't put any more bubble gum or duct tape on this police department or lipstick to make it look any more attractive than what we already have. We have to have this done. We have to see if we can get this done. We have the money with the ARPA funds, and we really desperately need this. Well, I know for years and years from being outside Normandy, that Normandy Police Department has been a jewel for the city of Normandy and in this North County area. And we want to get back up to that stature. The guys are still doing great work. Like I said, they work tirelessly. They work without any fanfare, and they come and they do their jobs. And we just want to reward them. We want to let them know we appreciate them. We want to keep them, and we want to get some more people over here to help. And we want to continue to provide the professional and polite service that the Normandy Police Department has provided for decades for its citizens and now our contract cities. So I implore you to please consider this and make the correct decision. That's it.
Thank you.
And Chief, we can use ARPA money, right?
Yes, sir.
We're using ARPA money.
ARPA money, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Johnson crunched the numbers on this and created this pay scale and did the homework on it. And if you've got questions, I'd like them directed at him and he can address them.
This is Councilmember Maurice Hunt. Can I ask him a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so can we amend this and also add the chief of police onto this?
If the majority of council thinks that would be wise, it could potentially be done at this meeting. But you would have to be very specific in the amounts, and you guys would all have to be in agreement on that.
So what we would need a motion Because you're increasing the salaries of all police officers, what, 13%?
Right, and
We're getting
if you're
into
talking,
personnel issues now.
yeah, and if you are talking about personnel issues, that would have to go into closed session. What I would recommend, because of the pressing issue of this, if you want to direct the mayor and his administration to look into that matter, we can do that and bring it at a different meeting.
Okay, that's a simple solution. Mayor Beckman, would you please put that in the January agenda?
I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, then.
There'll be a closed session since we're talking about a specific employee.
Okay, then.
Okay. Okay.
So Mayor, just ask me a question. Can we add the mayor later? I mean, the chief later? and just-
Yes,
just that?
yes, we can.
It would be a separate budget.
It'd be a separate budget amendment and we'd be talking the salary of a specific employee. We'd go into closed session to do that.
Essentially, we could allocate the ARPA funds, we can allocate more ARPA funds to police salaries. And then increase the salaries to whatever position you want. If the council think it's prudent to do the chief of police, then yeah.
Right, because I understood this was sergeants down.
No longer. There's a pay scale generated for the entire department with the exception of the chief of police. Typically, that's a negotiated salary anyway. That wouldn't, and you advise on this, the chief of police typically wouldn't be a predetermined rate. It would depend on years of experience and so forth.
Can we go into a vote?
Well, just make sure everybody's got their questions answered on this. Any additional comments on the police department salaries ordinance? I'm gonna have the first reading of the budget amendment to increase police department salaries. An ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2022 budget to the city of Normandy to increase line items related to public safety salaries and payroll expenses and to authorize the use of ARPA funds to cover the cost. Now, to have the second reading, we do need a unanimous vote if we're going to have a second reading of this at the same meeting. So do I have a motion for a second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Moss, second.
Second.
Second by Campbell. Roll call vote, please. Now, folks, it's really important we get everybody on board with this because there's a Jefferson County, there's a graduation on the 17th of police officers from Jefferson County, and we'd like to be able to recruit from that graduating pool, and it'd be nice to get this done tonight. So roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Lott,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Having unanimous vote, we'll have the second reading of 0907-009. An ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2022 budget of the city of Normandy to increase line items related to public safety salaries and payroll expenses and to authorize the use of ARPA funds to cover the cost. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Campbell, second?
Second.
Second by Nelson. Roll call
You'll
vote,
never hear
please.
me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it, motion carries. That was to, I need please for Bill 009, I need an ordinance number.
Ordinance number 2021-008.
Thank you. All right, next item of business, council meeting time ordinance. An ordinance revising section 110040 of the city's code book to reflect the new start time for the city council's monthly scheduled public meeting. if you'd like to keep this off next month's agenda, we could entertain a second reading at this same meeting. This doesn't seem like it's a controversial issue. If somebody wants to make that motion for the second reading. Motion by Campbell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that
Martin.
Smith?
Martin.
Martin? Thank you. Second by Martin. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff, Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Having a unanimous vote, we'll have the second reading of Bill 009. Oh, 0010. Where are we, Sam?
010.
010, thank you. An ordinance revising section 110040 of the city's code book to reflect a new start time of the city council's monthly scheduled public meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Campbell, second.
Second.
Second by Evans. Roll call, please.
Watch.
Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. Ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 2021-009.
The next item, warrant for dispersal ordinance. First reading, an ordinance requiring that all non-recurring indebtedness of the city be itemized and compiled into bills list for review for approval by the council before dispersing payment, and any such indebtedness for full satisfaction or any portion thereof, except in cases of emergency.
That's not worded right, Mr. Beckman. It's supposed to be reducing it down to 500. Wasn't
That language is not in this, and you're correct. And we can
Talk
discuss.
to Anthony and see what Anthony can do to amend this so we can vote on it.
Yeah, I mean, we can amend it.
Anthony?
Wait a minute, I'm gonna look, what do you mean it's not down to 500? What do you mean by that?
It's not, we was also going to reduce the mayor spending.
That's
to
a
no
separate
more-
ordinance. That's not this ordinance. This is a bills list ordinance.
Okay, the ordinance that we also, that was listed in the meetings, that a motion was passed to reduce the the mayor's spending, which he voiced his opinion on it, even though it was passed, to reduce it from 5,000 to 500. Irma Ratcliffe also found that mistake, and that was added into the ordinance because Irma says it was not in the minutes, and they added that into the minutes. So now it's not on there.
But that's a totally separate
I can
ordinance.
attempt to address that if you would.
Okay, go ahead.
I think this does the same thing. There's no limit, but I can't spend anything without your approval is what it says.
Exactly.
But the motion that was passed had a dollar amount on it. I mean, the council can speak because they was there, they voted on it, and it was 6-2, reducing your spending, and it was a dollar amount. So do the council remember the dollar amount?
Well, I can tell you this, if you want to have a conversation with Mr. Gray, and I'm not clear as to exactly what language you want in it, but we can put it in there and put it on the next agenda if you want to do that. We can put it on January. If this doesn't say what you want it to say.
Hold on for a second, Councilman Hunt. I think we're getting totally confused. We're having two different conversations. The mayor had discretionary spending power up to $5,000, meaning he could just arbitrarily, whatever he wanted to, spend up to $5,000 in between meetings. That spending authority was reduced by action of this board. Is passed out. We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with a bills list.
Okay, so that ordinance has passed. That ordinance has passed as of last month.
Whenever that action was taken, it was already done.
Okay, great. Okay, all right, my fault. I thought, I thought it required a second and third reading. So, okay. All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Beckman. I strongly apologize. Move forward.
All right, we're good. Let's move on. The last item on the agenda is.
Wait a minute.
Well, we had the first reading. We can, I'm going to tell you, we can have a conversation if somebody wants to make the motion. To have a second reading at this meeting would need, again, a unanimous vote. I don't anticipate getting that. And I will tell you, I'm very much opposed to this. This is going to hurt our credit rating. If I get bills 3 days before a meeting, and then I have to wait for the following meeting to get them approved, our bills are all over 30 days late. And it's going to be harmful. I don't spend out of budget. I don't spend out of line item. I don't spend discretionary. I don't have discretionary spending. I have had some emergency spending with breakdowns and flat tires, but we don't buy anything here that's not in the budget. And I've said this before, I think we're finding a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. So, I mean, the books are open. Anybody can come in anytime and ask any questions and go through the vendor file and.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I thought we'd gone over this. I mean, this is bills that need to be paid. I think Anthony explained this the last time.
Yeah.
Bills that need to be paid to keep the city hall going every month get paid.
Not according to this bill. I would have your approval for every bill that comes through the front, comes through.
No, it's non-reoccurring bills, Mayor.
Non-reoccurring. Well, there's lots of non-reoccurring. There's
Mayor,
there's lots non-reoccurring bills.
well, we already said that the bills that get paid to keep operation of city hall going get paid.
You can say that, but that's not what this bill does. That brings all the bills to the council meeting, and then you vote on this package of bills.
That was not my understanding.
Well,
The problem with this bill is that when do we meet to go over this list? When we meet once a month, we have to sit down, have a quorum to have the bill.
What are the
What
spendings?
if people don't show up?
What are the
Okay, so then
spendings
the
that's
bills,
necessary?
then the bills don't get paid. And then you're talking about the building across the street and how you want to have it refinanced. And then you have to find somebody that's going to look at your credit score, just like you're a regular citizen, and say either you have the standing and the credit score to do it, or you don't. And so it doesn't make sense, because when would we meet?
Mr. Gray?
When would we meet?
Hang on.
But the bill, it says non-reoccurring. So the ones that come every month like clockwork, you continue to pay those. I mean, that has nothing to do with this bill.
Has nothing to do with this.
Ordinance is a hindrance. It's a rock around.
Well, let's vote on it. Let's vote on it. Let's just move on. Let's vote. Let's do a vote. First reading, and let's just.
All right, we've had a first reading. If there's a motion for a second reading, it would require a unanimous vote. I don't anticipate getting that tonight, but you're welcome to make the motion. Hearing none, we'll move. There's a motion to have.
I second that.
A second by Smith. Was that Smith?
Yes.
Second by Smith. Roll call vote, please.
What was the motion? I didn't hear it.
To have the second reading of this bill to, the warrant for dispersal ordinance, that the bills all come before the council before I'm authorized to pay them.
Yes.
Vote yes, Councilmember Martin.
Yes, correct.
Vermont.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff.
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell.
No.
Lacking unanimous, we'll have the second reading at the next meeting. Item D, moving the January meeting. We've got a meeting scheduled in January for January 4. Historically, we've had very poor attendance at that meeting because of holiday travel. I'd like to move that to January 11th so people don't waste their time coming to a meeting and then not having a quorum. And if it's the council's pleasure, Resolution 2102 just moves that January meeting a week later, if that's good for you.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 2102 made by Evans. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Campbell. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Martin,
Is that just for this one meeting?
One meeting, yes.
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Mott,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ratliff,
Yeah.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
The ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Beckman, I had a
Councilman
new
Hunt had
item.
an item he wanted to put on new business.
Yes, on
Go
new
ahead.
business, city administrator.
Okay. What would you like to do?
You have the power to appoint a city administrator, right?
I have
at
a
any-
power of point, but you have to approve the appointment.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve your merit assistant as city administrator.
I haven't appointed him to the city administrator position.
Right, but if the council gives you the authority, you can appoint him.
Right.
And he can be the city administrator tonight.
I have to have a conversation with him to see if he's interested in doing that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he is interested in
Well,
doing that.
I have the right to make that appointment. That is correct. And you have the right to vote him up or down, but I'm going to have a conversation with him before I make that appointment. And
So
see if-
can we help you?
I recommend you make that appointment also.
Okay.
Okay, so I recommend that we go to a vote.
So do we need to go?
That's not being made by me. That's not going to be made by me tonight.
Can I make a motion?
Hold on for a second. Wait a minute.
The issue of city administrators is
Right.
is
It's an appointment of the mayor. He has to introduce the
Right.
desire to appoint him to the position first. That happens first. I understand that you're nudging him to do so in some ways, but it's still his choice. And so he needs to lead this conversation.
So
that's not going to be done tonight.
So how long would it take you to get back with us?
Well, I've been working on
Mr.
this issue.
Beckman, you've been
for
wanting a city administrator for
7 months.
Right.
And this is the first time I've heard that there's been any interest in moving forward with this appointment. So I have to have conversations with a couple of people before I make that appointment.
So how long would you need?
Well,
mean,
I don't
this
know.
is
I don't have the answer for that. I'm sorry. I really just don't. This is kind of unexpected. There's been a lot of resistance on this issue, and I didn't anticipate that this would be something you're ready to move forward with. So there's several people I
seems
would
like
want to
the-
have conversations with first.
Okay, it seems like the council is in full agreement with you, and I'm just speaking that
No, and I appreciate that. I do, but I can't get into all of the details, but there's conversations I have to have with several people before I would make an appointment for a city administrator.
Several, it's just one
Yeah.
person, and that's
Listen, it's not being done tonight. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
all right then.
Yeah. That is the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made. Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. That was a great meeting. Thank you, everybody.
I'm gonna leave the meeting.